And we are live. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and you're watching and/or listening to ABL Live. Thank y'all for joining me tonight. You could be almost anywhere in the whole wide world, but you're right here with me live in the show. And I appreciate y'all for that. Thank y'all for joining. We got a whole lot to talk about tonight. There's a whole lot going on. Did you guys see your president, not my president, did you guys see the alleged president, Joe Biden, eating something that was on his chin? What was that? Was it a booger? I don't know what that was, but it was something. We'll talk about that because we got to. Come on, elephant in the room. We got to talk about it. Also, we got to talk about Logan Paul responding to Candace Owens. Remember, I did a video about Logan Paul's race rant from last year that kind of went viral recently. Candace Owens responded to that saying, hey, let's go have a debate. He responded on his Impaulsive podcast. We'll talk in detail about that. Also, this tweet from Prager U saying, you can't comply your way out of government tyranny. Now, a lot of leftists and BLM type people, they said this is hypocritical because you guys say you should comply with the cops when they're arresting you on the street for, I don't know, shooting heroin or something like that in the playground. So not complying to government tyranny is the exact same thing. That's what they say. We'll talk about that in a minute. Also, this whole variant drama has spiraled out of control. We'll talk about all those things and more on tonight's episode of ABL Live. And I thank y'all again. Most certainly appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. If you enjoy what you heard so far, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. If you enjoy the content in general, give the video a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and do it. You may be a subscriber, but you may not be subscribed because YouTube might want to play games. They may have unsubscribed you. So go ahead and check, see if you're subscribed still. And if you're not, go ahead and resubscribe. If you're listening on your favorite audio streaming platform, go ahead and follow me over there. Give me a 5-star rating or review, whatever you can. I'd appreciate it. And if you don't know, this podcast will be available on Apple iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, etc. Link for that will be in the description box, or just go to your favorite audio streaming platform and search ABL Live. I should pop right on up. And of course, shout out to the sponsors. Got to give them a shout out. Shout out to patriotpost.us, a great source of news and information. Again, patriotpost.us, not .com.us. Also, BHEdesigns.com for the beautiful handmade wood and American flags that are behind me. You can get those similar. You can get these same ones, a similar one, or one of your own creation, or BHEdesigns.com. Also, go to Mr1920.com. That is Mr1920.com for your handmade American soaps. That's right. I am selling soaps, and they're great. If you be going to Wallet World getting these little rinky-dink soaps, don't do that no more. Don't cheat yourself. Treat yourself over at Mr1920.com. Once again, that is Mr1920.com. Also, what else we got? Did I get everybody? I don't want to leave nobody out. I think I did pretty good doing that. So, of course, I forgot myself. ABLmerch.com, of course. We got the hats. We still got a few more of these left. They're about to go out of stock. But we got a few more of these. We got a bunch of more hats and T-shirts and stickers and whatnot on ABLmerch.com. And, of course, my website, AnthonyBLogan.com. All original content. All my sources for all my videos are on there. Now, shout out to you guys who have been here for a while. You may have known that I got a strike back a few weeks ago, and I was gone for a week from the YouTubes. But if you don't know, I beat that strike. They told me that, they reviewed my content and there's nothing there, all this and that. Matter of fact, can I put this on the screen? Let me see if I can. Give me 1 second here. So I think they changed how they are. I think they changed how they are doing this. Well, I can't put this on the screen. Basically, it says we reviewed your content for appeal. The FDA, CDC recommend pause to the Johnson & Johnson vaccination wide. The video was from back in April, but I got my strike in June, and I got suspended for a week. Now, after the week suspension, the strike is still on your channel for like 90 days. So it was going to expire in early September, but they went ahead and took off my channel right now. So I don't have a strike anymore, although they went ahead and gave me the full, I can't get that week back, huh? But anyway, so basically they looked through it and said that you didn't really mean to violate the medical misinformation policy. You didn't mean to violate that. So we went ahead and put it back. But on that same exact day, like I'm talking about 4 minutes later, I got another email saying that a separate video was taken down. So the one that I got the strike for was put back on YouTube and the strike was rescinded. However, a live video I did got taken down for quote unquote medical misinformation, but I didn't get a strike. So apparently they've changed their policy on medical misinformation and they're not going to hand out strikes. What I think happened, in my humble opinion, is that they were getting pressure from the federales because remember, Jen Psaki was talking about they're talking to Facebook and they're trying to get some things resolved that way. So why are you talking to Facebook? Like, what does Facebook have to do with the federal government? Why are they colluding? As long as if it ain't that illegal, if there's no illegal activity going on, then why are you talking to Facebook? It's because they're trying to control the flow of information, not necessarily Facebook. I mean, Facebook is as well. They have their own agenda, but I'm talking about the federales. They don't want certain information to be out there, so they want to try to curtail it on Facebook. And if you are attacking Facebook, which is the largest social media platform in the world, you're going to attack YouTube and Twitter and Instagram as well. It just makes sense, right? And by the way, Instagram is owned by Facebook. So if you attack Facebook, you're also attacking WhatsApp and Instagram, and you're going to attack YouTube and everywhere else. So I think that strike was politically motivated straight from the federales and not necessarily from YouTube.com, because understand this. The content on my channel, the content on a lot of the big YouTubers channels makes YouTube a lot of money. Okay, we get money from ads or whatever, but they get the majority of it. So YouTube's not trying to lose money. They're not trying to have their whole system dictated to by the federal government. YouTube does not want to necessarily be under communist China. I mean, some of their employees may be rocking the blue hair and talking about communism right now. But in reality, the executives don't actually want that. The executives want tax breaks. The executives want a free market. The executives want to do whatever they want to do. They don't want the government to come in and tell them how to operate. So I don't think they like the federales coming down on them. They want to be able to make the most money possible. And the reality is that a lot of the content that we were putting out makes a lot of money. When YouTube gets into censoring certain things and they don't want to bring it back, they feel like it's a liability to the advertisers and not the federales or the users, in my humble opinion. If the ad money's not there, like let's just say you have a person that is very popular on the YouTubes, but is very toxic to advertisers for the entire platform, they're going to get rid of them. And a prime name that would come to mind would be Alex Jones. Okay, Alex Jones has his website and his ads, but we're talking about YouTube trying to have a broad audience. That's probably the reason why they got rid of him. That's probably why. I don't think it's even because he has such terrible takes, because he doesn't. I mean, Alex Jones, a lot of what Alex Jones says, we're saying right now. A lot of what Alex Jones said, the federales are saying right now. But I think it's an advertiser situation and also some YouTube employees, but mostly it's about that money at the bottom line. So, but I digress. Now, there's a lot we got to get into. I'm not really sure where to start. I think I'm going to start with Prager U. I'm going to start right there. And then I'm going to get into the Booger Gate. I don't know what Biden was doing, picking and flicking and eating. Like, is he 8 years old? I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm going to talk about Logan Paul. I'm going to talk about Talcum X, a.k.a. Martin Luther King. Okay, I'm going to talk about him as well, getting this big house in New Jersey. I'm going to get to that. But first, Prager U. Now, Prager U put out a tweet, and the tweet said something like, you can't comply your way out of government tyranny. And like I said at the very beginning of this podcast, a lot of leftists take that as saying, Prager U saying don't comply. But just like earlier in the same day, a different tweet with a story that I think they put out was talking about complying with the police and how important it is to do. But when you're talking about compliance, let's not see the word comply and have that be that. Look at the entire situation. Complying with a tyrannical government is not the equivalent to, okay, I'm in the middle of the playground with kids having a good old time with their parents. Here I am waving the pistol around and shooting heroin, and then they try to come arrest me, and then I'm not complying. There's two different things. Nobody's going to defend this heroin abuser waving the pistol, shooting it in the air with little kids and parents around. Nobody's going to defend that. So when the police come to arrest him, the majority of us, 99.99%, are going to say, that's right, lock him up, it's time to go. Get him out of here, get him arrested. And if he resists arrest and he has to get softened up, it won't really be a big deal. Now, the problem is a lot of liberals don't think that's okay. They don't think it's okay to soften somebody up that's high as gas under the Biden administration when they're resisting. They think that's wrong and it shouldn't happen. They think you should bring a social worker out there, caseworker. I don't know. I'm not sure who they want to come out there. Pee Wee Herman, Barney. I don't know who they want to come out there, but they think that's not right. They think that this situation with a violent drug abuser who's armed with a gun could be handled much differently. That's what they think. We don't think that. We, meaning the majority of Americans, and quite frankly, the majority of people in the world, don't think that way. However, I think the majority of Americans do believe that government tyranny is bad. And this is what a lot of conservatives have been talking about forever, since the beginning of the Conservative Party. Even before the Conservative Party, even before the Republican Party existed, you're talking about the Founding Fathers. Even the Federalists understood that you couldn't have a tyrannical government. People fled to the U.S. to escape tyrannical governments. Nobody wants to have that. Now, the question is, what is a tyrannical government? What does that really mean? Is that when we say the crack addict, PCP user, shooting his gun off, gets arrested, and then gets punched one time in his jaw by the officer because he's resisting? Is that tyrannical? Is that tyrannical government? Or is it tyrannical when you mandate vaccines, mandate shutdowns, when you mandate going to the gulag, big rocks, little rocks? I mean, when you think tyrannical, you don't think the U.S. Not yet. You're thinking about a place like Cuba, where the government tells you what to do. You have no choice but to do whatever the government tells you. I heard a story about Cuba from the Russia times, when things were actually a little bit better, but still not free and still tyrannical. Kids would be taken from their homes during the summertime and just sent to a farm to work. Wherever they would assign you is where you would go. There's no choice in the matter. It's not like over here in the U.S. You get a choice where you want to go. Oh, I'm 16 years old. I'm 14 or whatever with a work permit. I can go work at a movie theater. I can go to Chick-fil-A. I can find my job, or I can do something. I can work with my dad. Ain't none of that going on. Hey, we're going to send you to this farm and you're going to be out there working, period. You're going to be harvesting bananas, sugar cane, or whatever. You could be in there rolling cigars. You can be doing something because we're the government and we say so. That is tyrannical. Or when they don't allow you to even get food from the farm before it rots. You see what I'm saying? Because the government is supposed to be harvesting it for you. Nanny state, right? You know that the food is going bad. You want to go get it and you get arrested for doing that. Tyrannical. You can't get food normally. You can't harvest the food. You can't even really do things. You can't grow food on your own. Tyrannical. And what do we say when we see all these protests and whatnot about Cuba? They don't have any guns. They can't protect themselves. This is what happens. This is why you don't let your Second Amendment rights go, because once you let that go, then you're pretty much at the mercy of the government. The police will have weapons. The military will have weapons. The powers that be will have weapons. But how about you, just a regular normie citizen? How about you and me? Regular normies, if we don't have any weapons, what are we going to do when you have a real tyrant coming in there, taking over the country like Adolf Hitler, and then things go bad? What are you going to do? it's going to be hard to really resist that. Again, you don't comply with the tyrannical government. Same thing with North Korea. I mean, what are they going to do? They have no recourse. They got to praise Kim Jong-un as a leader. And they might mess around and get their whole family killed if they don't. So what are you going to do? You see what I'm saying? And you got like conscripts in the military. If they don't do well, then they'll be killed. It's just a whole big mess. A lot of brainwashing going on. Hard to overcome it. That is tyrannical government. It's not the equivalent of, hey, you know what? I want to smoke PCP right now and shoot my gun off and I need to get arrested and I don't want to get arrested. So I'm going to resist and knock an officer out. I'm going to throw doo-doo at him or something like that. And then I get hit one time in the head with a baton. That's not tyrannical. That's not abuse of power. That's just good police work. It's unfortunate that the guy had to get his coconut cracked open or just a little bit tapped. Not really cracked, just tapped. It's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Most people are not going to defend that man that got his coconut tapped right quick by the baton to get him under control. That's just what it is. So it's not hypocritical to say that, but if you have an IQ of a housefly or one of them flying roaches, you're not going to be able to understand that. But not y'all. You guys are very smart out there, so not y'all. I'm talking about the lefties and the BLM types that think that way on the Twitters. That's what I'm referring to, and I put it to you that way. All right. Let me see. But again, thank y'all for being here. Definitely appreciate you guys. Speaking of tyrants, tyrannical governments, have you guys seen all these threats of more shutdowns and bringing back the masks? What are we even doing? What's going on? It's weird because they keep saying, trust the science, believe the science. If you don't believe in Anthony Fauci, you don't believe in science. Since when was Anthony Fauci the patron saint of science? Since when was he the grand arbiter of what is correct and what is incorrect? And like I said from the very beginning, science is a study. It's a study. It's not a matter of what's right or what's wrong. It's a matter of we think this right now. This is our opinion right now. We don't have all the facts. We don't have everything figured out. But here's our best estimate. Here's our best guess. That's what they say. And we know it to be true because they keep changing their stance. They keep changing their quote unquote guess every other day. From the beginning, what was it? Wear your mask, right? Wear your mask wherever you go. Mask save lives. And then they came up with stuff talking about, if you wear 2 masks, that'll make it that much better because, it's common sense, right? Just put 2 masks on your face. If you can't breathe, all right, whatever, but check it out. You might not be able to get any air in, but you're not getting any particles out. So you're being a good person. You're being a good normie. You're protecting grandma. You might not be able to breathe, but that's fine because you're not spitting your filthy germs on granny and killing her with this virus that's 100% deadly, although it's almost 100% non-deadly, but I digress. That was a thing at first. I'm sorry. I'm tripping. Point 0, the point before masks became popular was Anthony Fauci himself saying masks aren't needed in a situation. You might block a droplet or 2, but it's not a perfect protection you think it is. That's what he said from the very beginning. If you're a regular normie and you're not sick and you're not in public health, you don't need to wear a mask. You do not need to wear a mask. That's what he said back in March 2020. And then like 2 weeks later, all of a sudden it became wear a mask everywhere. Then it became wear 2 masks. And I saw this infographic. If I can find it, I'll place it on the screen. But they were talking about one mask. They had a graph charting the efficacy of the amount of masks that you could wear. They were saying one mask provides this amount of protection. 2 masks provides that amount of protection. But 3 masks, you're talking about, it's like, all right, 3 masks, really? Stop it. Please stop. Just stop the nonsense. This is silly. It's totally silly. But they were actually saying that, and it was on TV. I promise. I'm going to try to find that. But it was literally on TV talking about wearing 3 masks. And when they came out with that, I promise I've seen people in their convertible cars outside in the summertime wearing 2 masks. Why? People are afraid. And people sometimes think that this stuff that we're talking about on the internet does not go very far. As soon as something is said on the internet or on TV, especially, as soon as a thing is said about masks coming back or whatever, people immediately do it. Immediately. Because I'm observing, anytime I go anywhere, I see kind of what people are doing, what they're wearing, and how they're behaving, right? I just kind of observe that stuff. And over the past few weeks, I've not seen much mask wearing. It's kind of rare. People still wear it a little bit, but not really. Now that they're talking about trying to bring the mask back and bringing lockdowns back, now I'm seeing the masks just the same as what they were during the scandemic. I mean, pandemic, right? It's just the same as it was back then. I'm hearing certain grocery stores and other stores are trying to bring mask mandates back. I won't be surprised if Wally World brought mask mandates back. But quite frankly, depending upon where you are, that wasn't really your thing anyway. It wasn't really this big thing talking about, oh, well, trying to enforce that. It didn't really make a difference. But anyway, they're saying wear 2 masks, wear 3 masks. Now they're talking about bringing the lockdowns back. Now, I think you got the blue states trying to cooperate. They're saying, all right, cool, no problem. We'll bring the lockdowns back. The funniest thing I saw right now was, what's this? Chicago's mayor, Lori Lightfoot, talking about, oh, matter of fact, I'll put it on the screen. I can show you better than I can tell you. Give me 1 second here. All right. It says Chicago mayor delays new COVID-19 restrictions as Lollapalooza begins. So, hey, man, we got to get this money, right? We got to get this money. So we're going to lock everything down, bring masks back, this, that, and the third. But check it out, man. We got this money to make. We're trying to go ahead and get it. The virus can wait, man. We're not worried about the virus. It'll wait until we get done with this. When we get done with this, then we're going to take it seriously. It's like, come on. If anybody's taking this seriously at this point, if you think that they're being serious, I don't understand where you're getting that from. Why would you think that they're taking it serious? Obviously, they're not. Look at this. You see it on the screen. I'm not making it up. Chicago, I'll read it one more time. Chicago mayor delays new COVID-19 restrictions as Lollapalooza begins. It's right there in black and white. Come on. They're not taking this seriously at all. The same way they did last year. Remember all the BLM riots and stuff that were going on back during the election? And they gave those riots exceptions. Oh, they're not super spreader events and it's not really a big deal. They said that January 1st thing was, January 6th was a super spreader event, COVID outbreaks, all this, that, and the third. That's what they said that was. But then the 600 BLM riots of 2020 were not super spreaders and everything was all good. And as a matter of fact, doctors gave these events passage because they deem racism a public health issue. So if they're out there protesting for public health, it doesn't really count. It doesn't matter if everybody there catches the bug. So what? It's public health, right? We got to go out there and protest against this bad thing. It's crazy. It's all a game. It's all a game. My thing from the very beginning has been this: if you want to get the shot, go for it. It's your body, your choice, right? In the real way. Not in the fake way, talking about abortion. That's not your body. A baby is not your body. When a baby is born, is it your body that's the baby? Like, I'm going to digress. Once a baby is in there, it's not your body. But it's a real version of my body, my choice. I don't want to put this drug inside of me. I just don't want that. Thank you for the offer, but no thank you. That should be it, right? It shouldn't be a matter of you must take this or go to the penitentiary or something like that. I saw a story today about, I think it might have been one of the January 6th guys going back and forth to court. And I guess one of the rules in the court is to wear a mask. And the guy wasn't wearing the mask or wearing it improperly. And the judge threatened him with jail time for not wearing his mask. So is not wearing a mask now a jailable offense? Is that a contempt of court type thing to not wear a mask? Are you even doing in-person court? Aren't they still doing Zoom court where the person's on the camera and then the judge is somewhere else? What's the point in wearing the mask? How does it make any sense at all? It's so silly. I'm gonna get to the Biden thing in a minute. Y'all hang tight, but it's dumb to me But they're trying to bring the lockdowns back. Blue states, they're on board. They're with it. They're saying, okay, cool, no problem. But red states, they're not with it. I was at dinner last night for the Republican Party out here in Hamilton County, Tennessee. And the Speaker of the House was saying, for Tennessee, was saying no vaccine mandates, no, I think he said no mask mandates. Don't quote me on that, mainstream media. But the mandates and all that kind of stuff, we're just not really with it here. Now, if you live in California, well, God bless you, because I don't know what y'all going to do. Y'all might go back on a lockdown, and they're talking about a fourth stimmy check. Now, this is where the lockdowns and stuff affect all of us, not just those in doomed states, a.k.a. Democrat states. If they put out a fourth stimulus check, that's going to be how many more trillions in spending? We're going to get not only further in the debt, that's the first thing. The debt is out of control, but also we're going to get further into inflation. You keep putting out this free money with no productivity behind it, and you're going to have a demand for services rise. You're going to have a decrease in productivity and an increase in demand. So you're going to have a lack of supply, which is going to drive the cost of goods, services, supplies, whatever you want up. Scarcity, high demand, higher prices. All this free money out here floating around, everybody's got it. That'll drive it even higher. You're going to have inflation. You're going to have 5, 10, 15, 20. And inflation, the thing about inflation is it affects everyone, even if you're not trying to spend money. Because what if you have savings? Let's say you had some savings. Let's say you saved like $10,000 last year, right? Okay. Or over the past few years, you saved $10,000 in the bank. Your money after 25% inflation is worth $7,500. Just like basically your $10,000 got reduced in real value by 25% to $7,500. Without spending any money, you lost $25,000. That's what that is. If you have your money in the bank account with with interest accruing, you're not getting any interest on your money because you have next to zero interest rates. Your dividends are trash. You got to try to gamble in the stock market or try to mine crypto or something like that. It's a mess out here. It really is. A lot of instability, a lot of fake stuff, a lot of market manipulation. It's a total mess. So it's not a good thing to have these lockdowns come back, nor is it a good thing to have the stimulus checks and whatnot come back. You're going to decrease productivity and increase inflation, not only for those that are in these failing blue states, but also for everybody all over the nation and the world, quite frankly, because a lot of the world's economy is dependent upon what we do over here in the States. That's going to cause a global problem. So if you want to escape the country, where are you going to go? Good luck. Good luck with that, 100%. Hey, I'm just trying to bring the math out to the people. Oh, and speaking about, so people, I've been seeing this trend on Twitter where they're highlighting the fact that Fox News is encouraging people to go out there and get the shot, right? And people are asking why. And they're saying, well, they know they can't have their viewers die. They can't promote any more virus skepticism or whatever. But the truth is, the reality is, aside from what people say on Twitter or on Facebook or whatever, or on television, which is not real, but anyway, the truth is that the majority of those who don't have the shot are Black and Hispanic. And if you know, like I know, Black and Hispanic folks are not Republican voters in, a large amount. There are some, obviously, that vote Republican in both parties, more Hispanic than Black. We all know that. I think it's like 90% Black folks that vote for the Democratic Party, like 65% or so Hispanics that vote for the Democratic Party. Both a majority, but Hispanics are a lower majority. Anyway, they are the ones who are not getting the vaccine. And that's, I guess the problem. That's why they're coming up with rap songs and strip videos and booty shaking stuff to get Black folks to go out there and get the shot. I'm not lying. I saw a TikTok video with some young girls on there, tight clothes on, talking about get the shot. I promise if I'm lying, I'm flying. Hand of God. No vein. But anyway, if Fox are trying to promote the shot to get their viewers to go out and get it, then what is the Democratic Party doing? What is MSNBC doing? I mean, the majority of those who don't have it are not white. That's a fact. And people just don't want to get it. All these little commercials and stuff are not going to convince them because we've already seen it happen before. Tuskegee was just one example. That's just the most famous and obvious example. There's a bunch of other things that have happened over the years. A lot of people took these clinical trials you may see on TV. Like you may see a commercial on TV saying, hey, it's a new clinical trial. You get paid for your time, compensated for your time. Go down X, Y, and Z Street. Go down 3900 MLK right there on the corner. A lot of things like that have happened. People got disastrous results. People that died, crazy hormone reactions, becoming infertile, all types of stuff. So we know about this. And those same people are not going to be fooled again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So, that's why they're not getting it. They're trying to shame people into doing it, attacking them for not doing it. It's not going to work because we already made our mind up long before it even came out. We already said never again, and that's what it's going to be. Yeah, a lot of clinical trials, a lot of errors, a lot of mistakes, medical malpractice. Even at a hospital, you got things that don't go right. So what's the point in anybody who has had that kind of experience then going and saying, let me get this brand new thing that just came out. Oh, and by the way, I read a report that said 3/4 of those who, matter of fact, before I say something that's wrong, let me go to the article, which I do have. I cite anything I say on this website, on this YouTube channel, on my social media is the truth. Unless I'm joking, of course. But if I say this is true, it's true. I do not lie about stuff like this. I don't lie, period. I'll tell jokes, but I'm not a liar at all. So let's go to the article. Okay, let's put this on the screen right quick. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put this on the screen and then I'm going to flash the article. This is just a screenshot of the article I took on my phone. This is on RT. It says, CDC releases study showing 3/4 of Delta cases are among the vaccinated, says masks are the answer. 3/4 of the Delta cases are among the vaccinated. And they're telling you at the same time, yeah, we know that the majority of those who have the Delta variant are vaccinated, but still go out there and get vaccinated and wear your mask. Now, what's the point of wearing the mask? Is it because they think that people who are unvaccinated are not wearing the mask and they can't tell who is who from, just observing you? So they want to keep it on the safe side. What's the point in wearing the mask? Or is it to protect those who have had the vaccine from those who have not had the vaccine? Because, the way they're trying to say it is, the way they were trying to frame it is the mask was to protect those who have not had the vaccine from the vaccinated, but it's really the other way around. Is that what's going on? Okay. Now, let me find this right here. Okay. The CDC has released a study backing up its decision to recommend indoor masking for both vaccinated and unvaccinated Americans. The study examined one outbreak and found 3/4 of people testing positive were vaccinated. Okay. The Center for Disease Control revised its masking guidelines on Tuesday, urging all Americans in areas with high COVID-19 transmission to mask up when indoors. Regardless of vaccination status, mask mandates in companies, government departments, and certain local jurisdictions as followed. As CDC Director Rochelle Walensky, who was a tragic mess, always crying, halfway crying, insisted the decision was made on the back of fresh scientific evidence. There go that word again, new evidence, new science, fresh scientific evidence. That is what I always say. Science is a study. It always changes. Okay. Now, here's their link right here. I'm going to read this right here, and then I'm going to flash this link that's right here in the article. The CDC released that study on Friday, and a study of 469 cases of COVID-19 that broke out in the resort town of Cape Cod, Massachusetts earlier this month. 74% occurred in, quote, fully vaccinated persons, unquote. 4 out of 5 patients hospitalized were fully vaccinated, and on average, they inoculated had completed their 2 rounds of doses only 86 days before infection. All right, and here is the link straight from the CDC. So if you guys ask me what's the source, it's right here. CDC. And matter of fact, since I'm a sharing individual, I'll place this link right here in the description box so you guys can read it for yourself. Read it in full. Don't take my word for it, because ABL don't know. ABL is just a guy. He knows nothing. Maybe I can't read. I don't know what's going on. Maybe my eyes are kind of bad, but I'm going to just put it right here. I'm going to label it so you guys can see it. CDC study. And let's put that right there. I'm going to spam it so you guys can't miss it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put it in the box too. I'm going to put it in the description box so you can see it. I'm going to put it underneath the description. It's going to say CDC study. And I'll put study in all caps. And I'm going to put a little green check next to it. And you know what? I think that it might have been this story or something else where Twitter had, quote unquote, inadvertently censored it. So it was like, okay, Twitter is censoring the CDC. Is that what we're doing now, Twitter? Oh, put it to the top of the chat. Thank you for that. All right, let's do that. I'm going to pin it. Thank you. See, you guys are smart. That's why I like having you guys here on the show. And thank y'all again for being here. Definitely appreciate you guys. If you enjoy what you're hearing so far, go ahead and get a video a thumbs up. And, if you're not following me on my audio streaming platforms, go ahead and do that as well. Apple, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, etc. Link for that will be in the box, or go over there and find it for yourself by searching ABL Live. I should pop right on up. Yeah, let's go to French Laundry. See if we can see your man, what's his name? Gavin Newsom. Let's have dinner with Gavin Newsom at French Laundry with no mask on, like he did back when this pandemic first broke out, right? Let's do that. ABO just reads headlines. I just read the article right here in front of you. I literally read the article right there. And you know what's funny is that I write all my articles on my website. Everything that if you see my name beside it, Anthony Brian Logan, I wrote it. So how can I just read articles if I write the articles myself with sources? Always a book of sources. Always. That's what I do. I am a reader. All I do all day is read. That's why I have a lot of information. Anybody that's out there, any kids that's out there especially, if you want to learn, read. They'll tell you what's really going on. They'll hide it from you in the book. That's why all these government bills and stuff be a million pages long, because they don't want you to read it. If you read it and you're able to comprehend what you've read, then you understand what's going on. The mainstream media sucks because they operate on a headline basis. What they'll do is they'll read a headline or an excerpt out of context, and then they'll bring on some talking heads to pontificate on the point from the headline and not necessarily the full story. I'll give you the full story in a non-biased point of view. I'll give you my opinion, of course, but I'll give you all the information from various sources. That's what I do. That's why I'm able to have success. But I digress. Yeah, we got to have more readers. All right. These are not fashionable glasses. They are, but they're not. I need them to actually see because I read so much. Even as a kid, I would like, my book would be like right next to my face. So I developed nearsighted vision. About McAfee, I've not heard about McAfee since he passed. I heard it supposed to be some kind of kill switch, some kind of thing that released data, but I've not heard anything about that data. So I have no idea. All right, let's move forward. Let's talk about your man, Joe Biden and the boogers. We got to talk about that. I know it's kind of silly, whatever, but we got to talk about it. Now, I don't know if it was a booger, if it was some drool or whatever it was, but it was pretty gross. Now, if you guys are kind of lost, like, hey, ABL, where are you going with this? What are you talking about? I'll explain. Now, Joe Biden was apparently somewhere in the studio or something, getting ready to do an interview, or he may have just been, I don't know what he was doing. But anyway, he was there, sitting at a desk in front of some papers, probably getting ready to read from it. And matter of fact, let's put this on the screen. So if we can do that, that'd be good. And so this is my Instagram page right here, Instagram.com/Anthony B. Logan. So I'm gonna put that video on the screen in a moment. But you see him just sitting there, get ready to do something. And he decides to, okay, let's just watch it and then I'll explain. All right, let's get some sound. So you see, it's something right there on his chin. I'm not sure what it is.
Expand your capacity is through the partnership that we have, the federal and
So from what I'm reading, right here, he's handed a note by a White House staffer, and they're telling him it's something on your chin. Now, he's going to read the note and then see what he does after he reads the note.
State government, along with local governments.
So he goes right to his chin immediately.
This issue
wipes
is
it.
ongoing.
He examines it.
Each year, as we have discussed, it gets worse. It affects real people.
Did he eat it? What was that?
Everything.
What did he do right there?
Children who are breathing and expand.
This is really sad though. I mean, this guy should not be here. I mean, if this were Trump, remember the media were talking about Trump really bad, talking about he has dementia, he shouldn't be in there, he's out of sound mind, he's making crazy decisions. Look at this.
And your capacity.
Look at this.
Is through the partnership that we have, the federal and state government, along with local governments. This issue is ongoing each year, as we have discussed. It gets worse.
Yeah, it does get worse, doesn't it, Kamala Harris? Each year it gets worse. What are you talking? You talking about like some diplomacy abroad, or are you talking about this man in this chair who is clearly having cognitive decline? It's clear. I mean, 78 or 79 years old. You about to be 80 years old. I mean, at a certain point, you can't live forever. You can't live forever. The man's got some problems. We see it. We see it. And this, so let me get this straight. Everybody out there watching, let me get this straight. I'm just asking, it may be a rhetorical question. I may know the answer. But you're telling me this guy got 81 or however many millions of votes, the most votes out of anybody? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You're trying to tell me that guy got just in the same amount of votes more than Barack Obama? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Barack Obama. Now, I'm no Obama fan. Please don't get it twisted. But Obama was a guy that was like, he was groundbreaking. Smooth guy, charisma. I mean, was something different from what we had with the Bushes. Again, I'm no Obama fan, but I got to give him credit for being a good candidate on paper and how he looked and how he would be able to speak when given a teleprompter. You know, first black president, artist in that, and the third biracial, but the first black president, artist in that, he got many fewer votes than this guy, than him. You telling me that? I mean, come on.
It affects real people.
I was born at night, not last night, so let's not play me.
From children who are breathing and expand your
Come
capacity on. Is through the
81 million?
That we have,
really?
Federal and state.
No. Let's stop the games. Stop the cap, as a cool kid say, because that's just not. You're not going to be able to convince me that this guy was so popular that he was able just to trounce all the other presidents in the world. That's all. That is it. So, yeah. Now, my question that I put on my Instagram page, and again, Instagram.com/Anthony B. Logan. The question I put on my page was this. How long does he have? Is he going to finish the entire term? Is he going to go to 2024? He's not running again. Just so you know, just so we all on the same page, he's not going to run again. He can't. He already said it before he got elected that he'd probably be a one-term president. And he also said that if he was to get sick or if he was to not get along with Kamala Harris, he would develop a illness or a virus or whatever and resign. He already said that, so he's not going to run again because how old is he right now? 79, I think, or 78. He'll be 78 at the end of the year, like in November. So at the end of 2024, he'll be 82. So if he was to win, he'd be 86. I mean, stop. If he's having these kind of problems right now at 78, at 82, it won't get no better. It's getting worse and worse. So is he going to make it throughout the entire term, or is he going to have to resign early? And if he resigns early, what is that going to mean? Because we've all been saying that he's not built to be in office just because of physically and mentally how he is. He's not there. He's 78 going on 178. So it'll vindicate us. It'll validate us. But what is that going to mean for the other side? How are they going to handle this? And Kamala Harris, you know what? The thing about Kamala Harris is that she is no better than Joe Biden. Because think about Joe Biden, and I'm going to give him a little bit of credit, but not in a real way. But you understand what I'm saying I'm going to say. Joe Biden has had at one point some level of competence. Not a high level of competence, but some level of competence. I mean, you've been in government for a long time. You understand how to maneuver. You were the vice president. You got a little bit of competence. The problem with Joe Biden is that his mind is leaving him. He doesn't know what's going on. And he's a leftist, pretty much doing whatever they say. That's the problem with Joe Biden. If you were a fan of leftists, especially like in the 90s and whatnot, you might like Joe Biden if you were a liberal. But Kamala Harris is universally disliked right now. And she's not up there in age. She's not senile or nothing like that. Which is like in the 50s or 40s or something like that. Young relatively compared to a guy like Joe Biden. But the problem with Kamala Harris is that she is just a few trees short of a forest. Not really, has no experience really. All she's done really throughout her career is just get ahead because of who she knows, Willie Brown. And vote on certain things and just do whatever she's told by handlers. She's not been a leader at all. And she would do just the same thing as Joe Biden, be led by the people in the background, the staffers and whatnot. She can't even handle an interview with a woman on international TV talking about going to the border. She cackling all this and that and the third, getting asked a simple question. So if you can't handle a Telemundo reporter, how are you going to handle Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin? She'd be much worse than Creepy Joe. At least Joe is a shadow of a guy he used to be, which had some level of competence. If you're going on a number scale from 0 to 100, Joe Biden's a 15 and she's an 8. From a 0 to 100, 15 and 8. It's worse. Not better, but worse. So I think on a bright side, to give positivity here, if he stays there for the entire time, it'll get worse and worse and worse progressively. And if he's not there the entire time and she gets in, it'll get worse. It's the same because she'll make a bunch of crazy decisions, bonehead stuff, obvious hypocrisy, can't talk to the media, will look dumb on the world stage. Either way you go, a lot of resentment will be pushed in their direction. A lot of resentment will be laid at their feet. So that'll just lay the groundwork for the next election to be taken by us. So that's the positive part. You know, I think that this misery won't last too much longer because people are going to realize, people that have been kind of asleep, who were asleep during the last election, are going to understand. And also a lot of the states are passing voter integrity laws, which is a good thing. We have a safe and secure election. And people that might have been sleeping in the previous one are going to be a little bit more awake now. So that's a good part. It'll kind of motivate us to get to the polls and vote in the real way. All right. Jill, well, what about Jill? She can't assume the presidency because she's not in office. You got to go by line of succession. So all Jill can do is basically be his caretaker. Go out there and just, wipe his snot when he needs wipe. All she could do was just got him in the right direction, and that's it. But she can't actually assume any kind of role in the White House. She might be able to go out there and speak for him, but she can't actually assume any kind of official role because she's not elected. And that's just kind of what that is. And what else we got? Oh, did you guys see your man, Shaun King, a.k.a. Talcum X, a.k.a. Martin Luther King? Cream. Did you see this guy, Shaun King? Now, I did the video about Patrisse Cullors, right? The Black Lives Matter lady, one of the co-founders, one of the lesbian women who is married to the other co-founder. I forget her name, from Toronto, but they're both women. They're married to each other. And I think the other co-founder, Alicia Garza, her name is, she is married to a transgender white man. You understand? Like, okay, the Alicia Garza, black woman, one of the BLM co-founders, she is married to a biological woman, a white woman who became a man. So technically she's straight, but because the person is transgender and a woman, that means that she's a lesbian. I suppose. I don't know. But anyway, the funniest thing to me is how BLM talk about white man this, white man that, white bad. But you get married to a person that had to become a white man, like a stand-in white man. Hilarious. But anyway, I spoke about Patrisse Cullors and her real estate portfolio, worth like $3.2 million. You got a house in the hills in LA. You got a house in Inglewood, another house somewhere in South LA. You got a house out there in Conyers, Georgia, with a hangar with a landing strip on it for private planes. And you have one more somewhere else. I think it was 3 in LA, 1 in Georgia, and 1 somewhere else. I forget where it was. But the total value of all these homes is $3.2 million. I spoke about that, but Shaun King has entered the chat with his own real estate portfolio starting to blossom. Now, the funniest thing about this is that people are trying to defend him, talking about, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Should he be poor? He's an activist, supposed to be poor. Okay, so check it out. So Shaun King has a house in New Jersey, lakefront property worth $900,000, almost $1 million. Kind of okay. So he had a house or a spot in Brooklyn, right? He was in Brooklyn, right? In the city. He's like, you know what? I don't want to stay in Brooklyn. I'm gonna go out to Jersey, man. I ain't trying to be out here with the ragamuffins. I ain't trying to be with the defunded police stuff. I want to be safe. I want to live in a safe white community with my relatives, because I'm white too. I don't want to be out here with the hooligans in Brooklyn getting shot at and whatnot. I don't want to do that. I'm gonna go up to white folks with, a gated community and $1 million house, right? Something modest though, 3,000 square foot, North Brunswick, New Jersey. No big deal, right? Let's see how much it's worth. You see right there on the screen, that's the property. Lakefront backyard, gourmet kitchen. Beautiful, right? That's really nice. Very well kept. So here's the kicker right here. So I'm gonna read the screen right quick, and this is on New York Post. It says the property was purchased by King's wife, Ray Tonisha King. That's a name, ain't it? Ray Tonisha, a PhD candidate and educator in November in 2020, worth $842,000. Public record show. So my question is this: we know who Shaun King is, right? You're talking about a PhD candidate, basically a student. How do you get $1 million? Like, how can you afford that kind of property? Is she the breadwinner or is he the breadwinner? Did she buy it to prevent it from looking like it was in his name, to prevent this bad pressure coming out? Is that kind of what happened? I mean, what's really going on? All right, let me see. Is there anything else here? We know that he's taking this money from the charity. We know he put it on. We know it's going in his own pocket. The same thing with BLM. BLM is the exact same thing. Oh, we're going to do for black people, and we're going to, have everybody be great with this money. You pocketing that cash. Let's not forget. You wreak havoc, and you get cash as the payout. Crime does pay, apparently. If crime doesn't pay, I can't tell. I mean, what do you see right here? But this is why they do what they do. This is why they do what they do. It's not even about black lives. It's not even about trying to, be woke and down for the stroke. It's all about trying to get that paper. Because if it was really about black lives, then you'd be out there in front of Planned Parenthood protesting that. You'd be talking about things that actually matter, right? Real things. The violence going on, the drugs going on, the Planned Parenthood, the gang banging culture. You be talking about that, not trying to go out here and rabble rouse in some random podunk town to get attention and money to yourself. You raising money for a family, and then they're like, hey, where's the money at? You raise money for us in our name. Where's the money at? And you want to block them on social media. You want to ghost them on social media, not even respond to them. It's crazy. But I saw some defenders talking about, oh, that ain't nothing ABL in New Jersey. It's nothing. Should he be poor? It's like $800,000. I mean, I love to buy a house like that. I can't afford that. Can I get some of that money? I mean, how do you have that much bread? And the thing is, he's not actually doing good. See, if he was doing good, if he was not tearing communities apart, if he was not encouraging violence, if he was not encouraging lawlessness, then I wouldn't really be mad. It's like, all right, King, go out there and, live nice. Maybe I'd say that. But my thing, he's talking about how racist the country is and how can nobody get ahead and you're a black man and all this and that and the third. Lying about being the black man, lying about all these cases, lying to the people, causing chaos, causing destruction, talking about how everything's racist. But you want to go right out there to the white people in North Brunswick, New Jersey, and this nice, pretty community chilling. That's what you want. It's the same story for all of them. All of them. Same thing. It's the same thing with, what's his name? Cornel West. Talking about how bad Harvard or Yale, wherever he was. Talking about how bad the school is. Well, you've been there for like 20 years. It's just like, it wasn't that bad when you were there for all that whole time, making a career out of it, raising the family and kids and everything else. So spare me the sob story. Spare me all this crap. People just want to get money and they want to use the whole victimhood narrative to continue to be able to profit, period. That's all. So yeah, shout out to the white man, a.k.a. Taco Mex, a.k.a. Martin Luther Cream, Shaun King. A side note, when I was a liberal guy and I'd be online looking at certain stuff, I saw Shaun King around. This is years and years and years ago, a long time ago. I would see him like in some of the same places, like online, not in person. But I always thought he was white. I never thought anybody thought that he was black. I was like, okay, you got a white ally. I thought he was like Tim Wise or somebody like that. A white guy just trying to talk about black issues. Okay, you got a white ally, cool. I mean, and then like as time progressed, he kept saying he was black. It's like, what? And then it was like people defending him like, yeah, he's black. It's like, you think he's black for real? I mean, I know a white man when I see it. That man is straight from the British Isles. That man came on the Santa Maria yesterday. That man could go to Germany and blend straight in. Take off the little funny hairstyle and the glasses. You could blend straight in. You could be out there making sausages and bratwurst, whatever. You could be out there stomping wine. You would blend right in, sir. You are a white man. Stop this whole black man act. I'm offended. Like he has on a black man. Matter of fact, hold on. Let's bring him back up right quick. I'm offended at his little hairstyle. So hold on. Let me just compose myself right quick. I'm gonna bring a picture up so I can get like a close-up shot of him so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So you can understand my pain and where I'm coming from. I'm gonna just break him down right quick. All right. hold on right quick. So this is like his black guy costume. So you see, okay, let's break it down. You got the glasses, right? So it kind of like disguises your eyes. You might got some gray eyes or something like that. A dead giveaway for a white man. This little thin mustache going across, the little thin soul patch right there, and then a little small goatee. And then the short hairstyle with the most uneven line ever. This is a black guy costume. He's trying to imitate the rapper by the name of T.I. That's all. Matter of fact, hold on. I know there's a mashup of him and T.I. next to each other. There's a mashup somewhere. It's on the meme, and I'm going to find it right now. But this is a black guy costume. Sir, I see through your disguise. You are Clark Kent. I can see you, sir. Okay, you still got the same big jaw. I know you're not Clark Kent. You're Superman. I know who you are. This disguise is not fooling me at all. let's get to the mashup, and then I'll move on. I promise I'm gonna move on, but it's on my heart right now. I got to get it off. Not light skinned black. I know a black person when I see him. I got my grandma was real light skinned. My grandma was his complexion. My grandma was his complexion on my dad's side, but she's black. I know a black person when I see it. This is not a black person. This is a white man. Period. Let's bring up the matter of fact. And you know what? That's a great point. Whoever that was and made it. We're going to do a comparison to a light skinned person and this white man by the name of Shaun King. Hold on. Just hold your horses. You're gonna get straight to it. Oh yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So spot the black guy. I'll wait. Spot the black guy. You see what I'm saying? He took this man's whole little this right. This is a celebrity by the name of T.I. He's a rapper. Been around for a very long time. He took this man's whole look. You hijacked this man's look. Look, you got the little soul patch right there, the thin mustache, the goatee, the black frame glasses, the short haircut with the line, the fade, everything. It was like he went to the barbershop and said, hey, give me this right here. That's T.I. Look, man, I understand that, but give me that right there. That's what I want. Give me that look right there, right now. I got the money, man. Come on. $100, I got it right. Let's do it. That's what Shaun King did. We talking about grifting. How about putting on a disguise to grift? You know, I get called a grifter, but this how I look. You see me in real life, this is how I look right here. Period. I am not wearing a disguise, sir. Mr. Martin Luther King, you have a disguise on to get money out of people, talking about blackity black, and then go to Jersey live with white folks. So corny, so typical, but I digress. All right. that was on my heart. I had to get it off. And thank you for bearing with me, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for doing that. Man. So yeah, your man has a nice home out there in Jersey off of that grifting money. A disguise. I tell you what, one thing that you can know about ABL, I'm not wearing no disguise. This is how I look for real. So if you see me in person, you can know, hey, that's ABL right there. He looks the same as he does on the internet. Yeah, that's me because that's how I look. All right. We got super chats on deck. Did I get to everything I wanted to get to? I think I did. Oh, I could talk about Logan Paul versus Candace Owens, but I think I'm not. The thing about I'm gonna go ahead and move forward to super chats. We can talk about that kind of stuff as the calls come in. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. I'll get to those in about a few minutes. Super chats on deck first, then let's get to the calls. All right, let's go ahead and go to it. If I can find it, that'd be great. Yeah, let's make that be a thing. No more disguises in 2021. Be yourself. You gotta filter in real life. Okay, I'm done. All right. Shout out to Apu for a few super chats, quite a few. I'm gonna read those right quick. RIP Brunel Tramiel, 72320, killed in BLM violence. Reminder, Ed Buck guilty, murder, 2 black men, media silent. ABL, the federale snitches taking the flower and a lapel pin. Talking to a flower and a lapel pin, shouting, do you want to kidnap the governor? It's so obvious it's a setup. How can you not know that, sir? Comedy gold, ABL. Thank you. I got that from a podcast. They were talking about that, saying that the whole Gretchen Whitmer kerfuffle, 18 of the guys involved with that were federales. You know, the whole kidnapping plot, 18 feds were involved with that. It was to the point where the majority of the guys were feds, if not almost all of them. Maybe like 3 guys were not feds, but the majority of the guys were feds. If not for the feds, it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't even come close to happening. the plot wouldn't have materialized, in my humble opinion. And one of the guys was in the car, one of the federales was in the car, and he said, hey, if you guys don't want to kidnap the governor, get out the car right now, leave right now. He was so obvious with what he was saying that, I mean, this is clearly a fed. But I'll digress. Apple also says ABL smacks down Logan Paul for second time. Glorious. Thank you, thank you. Also, shout out to AOB, the best YouTuber on the internet. Shout out to Doug Ripley, who loves Fauci Ouchie. Also, TV reboot, BJ and the Bear. Joe Biden is the 18-wheeler truck driver, and Hunter is a crack monkey. Your opinion, ABL, is Hunter getting a bit cocky now? Hunter can do whatever he wants. Hunter can light up the spaceship right on the steps of the Capitol, and nobody would say anything to him. He can get geeked up right now on the floor of the Senate, and nothing will happen. That's how much Hunter Biden has leeway to do whatever. That's what's happening with government. It's pretty terrible, but it is what it is. You know, they had an FBI investigation into Trump Jr. talking to some Russians about adoption, a nothing burger, but Hunter can literally smoke crack, and it's no problem. Blue Ringed Octopus says, did Joe really say, my butt's been wiped? I have no idea what he was saying. It sounded like my butt's been wiped, but I don't know what he was trying to say. He said something that didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Thank you to Laura Catherine, who says, I pray to God more people will fight back harder this time around. Lockdowns don't work. Masks don't work. We can't give an inch or they will take a mile, and it will never end. Of course, it'll never, ever end. It'll be perpetual. Because once they know they can do that to us and we won't fight back, then it's like, all right, well, what can we do? What's the next step? How far can we take this whole thing? That's what's going on. And thank you for your super chat. Thank you to Tyrannius, who says, you only need a mask if you're sick or coughing. That's it. You feel good. Don't wear it. Exactly. Facts. Thank you to Ken Jeeper, who says, did you watch the Bears interview with the CDC director? He did a decent job. She lied through her teeth. No, I haven't seen that, actually. I'm going to check it out. Apple sent a few more saying, ABL, are Democrats emailing you that they're missing Trump? No, but they should, because they want him to be there. Let me see. ABL, what's favorite type of pie? Pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is the wave. Thank you to Per Kayla, who says, Basilico's Pasta, if you know restaurant in Huntington Beach, California, sign says you must show proof of being unvaccinated and ditch face masks to eat there. Hilarious. I like that. That's my kind of party right there. Shout out to them. Apple says, what's my favorite movie genre? Horror, action, comedy. Movie genre, I like sci-fi. Anything sci-fi, I'm in there. Prometheus, Interstellar, Alien, stuff like that. Show it to me. Oblivion, another good one. Horror movies aren't scary anymore. And I see horror movies, it's kind of like, I get bored. I'm ready to go to bed. Like, horror was scary when I was a little boy. When I was a kid and I didn't know any better, horror was scary. It scared me to tears when I was a little boy and I saw it. I was like a little kid when I saw it. I was scared for real when I saw that. It got to the point where later in life, I was going home from college. Like, I was walking back to my dad's house because at the time my dad lived downtown Portsmouth. If you know about Portsmouth, he lived right down the street from the TCC Art Center. It's this red building. Well, it's a white building with this red liner on top. And it's at night and walking home. It's in downtown Portsmouth. And if you know about downtown, it gets sketchy sometimes right there in Old Town. But anyway, I'm walking down the block, and right to my right is this art gallery. And they got this big open window. And in the window is always something else that they're working on. Some kind of sculpture, figurine, exhibit. Something's in there they're working on. It could be a painting, series of paintings. But this time, there were a bunch of clowns just in the window. Man, you're talking about if I had a pistol, would it get pulled out? I was scared. But I was like, you know what? That's not real. And I kind of came back to my senses. But for a second, I turned back to that little boy scared of the movie It, because I was like, yo, this ain't natural. Then I just come back to reality. I was like, okay, that's not real. It's just an art exhibit. You straight, go back to the crib. But yeah, I didn't like that. But seeing the new It movie, it was cool, but it wasn't scary at all. It was just like nostalgic, but it was not scary at all. I'm not scared of horror movies at all, period. Okay. You know, I done had a gun on me a few times in my life, in real life, so what's scarier than that? what's scarier than that? Comedy is okay, but a lot of comedy movies are kind of corny, and I don't laugh. I prefer podcasts that are funny rather than a comedy movie because they're not. It's so. I like action because it's cool and fun to watch. Action sci-fi. All right. Thank you to Eric Burns Marshall, who says, trust the science. 2 years ago, the same people were saying, science was just a tool, the right supremacist patriarchy. Exactly. They change the narrative whenever they want to change it. And then the thing about trusting the science is that science changes. So how can you trust one thing one day and a different thing the next day? They can just change it and be like, okay, here is a new standard. The masks were the first standard according to the science. Then it became the vaccine with no mask according to the science. Now it's a vaccine and mask according to the science. So which one do we follow? It always changes. So why can't we question it? If we had questions about the efficacy of the mask back when it came out, why couldn't we pose those questions when they came out later and said that the masks aren't enough? We were correct to question it, weren't we? Scientists always question things, but regular normies like us, the regular peons, can't say a word. That doesn't make any sense. That's why I don't trust the government at all, period. A tyranny says, you think the government wants everyone on a UBI? No one could ever own anything in a situation like that. I think they might want that because with UBI, they have more control. The thing about it is, with UBI, well, I'll put it to you like this. Biden already said that all federal employees must either become vaccinated or get weekly testing. So at what point are you a federal employee if you get paid by the federal government for your existence? You understand? Like, you see where I'm going? If they can control you, they can control you in a lot of different ways. So I don't like becoming a subject of the state. I like having the state work for me, not the other way around. I don't want to be China, North Korea. I don't want to be a subject. I want to be a free citizen, period. The government is there to serve us, not the other way around. I'm not going to no gulag. That's just what it is. Let me see. Shout out to Lubber Bulls, who says everybody's doing it, picking their nose and chewing it. Picking their nose and chewing it. They all think it's gum, but it's not. There you go. Thank you to Chili Chill, who says the vax folks apparently don't show symptoms. They have it, so they're likely to be super spreader rather than non-vaxxed. They need to be wearing a hazmat suit. Oh, that's big facts. Big time facts. Put the hazmat suit on, go to the island, and do that. And they said, I forget how many millions have already had the virus. It's been millions that have already had the virus in America. Out of the millions that have had it, it's been like 500, 600,000 deaths. But what's that in the percentage? And how many of those, like, let's talk about it for real. How many of those that died were elderly, obese, or something like that? I mean, what I heard recently was about long haulers. They're saying if you had the virus already, you may have long-term symptoms, exhaustion, breathing problems, or whatever. And they were saying there's ways to mitigate that with exercises. Like, what they say, like pulmonary exercise. It's like, so you're talking about like doing cardio? Is that what you're saying? So basically, if you exercise, maybe you won't feel bad. Is that kind of what we're trying to get at? So when we say if you're not 800 pounds, stuck to the bed, something like that, if you're not the size of a baby grand piano or 1,000 years old, you might be all right. I mean, doesn't everybody already know that? It's so dumb. That's why government's dumb. That's why regular normies on the internet, look, check it out. Not only is government dumb, but media types are dumb. They're all people with PhDs and MDs and all these other alphabet letter degrees are retarded. Excuse me, not retarded. I'm talking about they're dumb, not retarded. Anyway, they're dumb. They don't know what they're doing. They're throwing everything at the wall, seeing if it sticks. They're refusing our help because we're just peons for nothing. It's like, get out of here. But we know best. We know best. We knew from the start what was the problem and how to deal with it. We've been right since the very beginning. All right. Okay, let me get to the next one. Thank you to James Lindbergh, who says, if we all sue mainstream media for discrimination, we can break the cycle and get rich. Thank you to Tyranny again for your donation, who says Kamala Harris has no clue or any ideas or platform. Also, Taco Mex is whiter than the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man. Facts. Big facts. Golfer and Gun says George Walker Bush, George W. Bush, got a note about 9/11. Biden gets a note about a Booker. Think about it. Huh? There you go. Byron 8899 says Larry Elder needs to get more Asian voters from liberal cities, especially those who don't speak English, to support him in order to win California, in my opinion. Yeah, he needs help all the way around because California is a liberal place. So for you to be conservative and win and, out there conservative, not just a guy that happens to be kind of conservative a little bit. Nah, he's out there with a radio show and videos and everything. In order for you to win, you got to really be, you got to do a lot. Thank you to Curtis Reynolds, who says Shaun King parents are both white. Exactly. You got two white parents, white brother, white everything, but you're black. How? How that makes sense? You just identify as black. Same thing Russell Dolezal. And it's not very convincing. Thank you to Winston Thomas, who said Russell Dolezal 2.0. Exactly. Read my mind. Great mind think alike, right? If this guy's black, I'm a part of the British royal family. Exactly. Hey, if Shaun King's white, I'm white. I mean, if Shaun King's black, I'm white. How about that? If Shaun King is black, I am Prince Charles. And if you think I'm not, you're racist. I'm Prince Charles. I identify as Prince Charles. Give me the crown. Give me the sash, the little scepter or whatever. Buckingham Palace, here I come. Thank you to Unifier TV, who says, my black silk Folgers is ready for the mug, sir. There you go, man. All righty. Thank y'all for being here. Definitely appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed what you're hearing so far, get a video with a thumbs up. Also, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. Thank you to Will RC for the wrecked emoji. Hilarious. I like that one. That's a good one right there. All righty. Let's get to the calls. The number to call, 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. If Skype's working improperly, it's not my fault. You got to blame the white man for that because it's not my fault. I don't take no responsibility for anything going wrong. All right, let's get to it. Okay, let's go audio video. We should be good over there. And let's get rocking. All righty, 805, you're online. What speaker to?
Hello, this is Joy.
All righty, what's going on?
Hi, I wanted to see what your thoughts are on, well, what is the best way to recover from liberal leftist brainwashing that has trained me to feel inferior and to accept those things that are wrong, such as homosexuality and destruction of the traditional natural family?
Well, that's going to be, that's a long process. I think the main thing would be just to get yourself informed, read a lot of books, talk to people that are kind of had your same situation. There's a lot of videos out there, like people that have walked away. I have my video out there called the Red Pill Moment. And it was just a moment where I realized where things weren't what I thought they were. And once you, once you see stuff like that, you kind of, people kind of are in the same boat as you. They empathize with you without knowing you. So that's a good way to try and get beyond it because, you know, you're not by yourself. It's not just you. You're not crazy. You're not having weird thoughts. It's not like a phase. It's a real thing. And you're not the only one that has had it. And you're going to see similarities in what you're feeling and how others have felt as well. Like I'm seeing certain things that are kind of weird. It's kind of strange. I'm starting to doubt myself. I'm starting to doubt what I've been taught. And then also, once you read a lot of information, read a lot of books, you get to the facts. That's the main thing. How you feel, how you feel is one thing, and you got to deal with that, of course, because everybody has emotions, everybody has feelings, and you got to deal with it. But also, the facts. your feelings and whatnot is one thing, but facts, it can't change. And once you see the facts and what they are, talking about, some of the political parties and how they come about and things people do in the political parties, some of the laws that are passed historically and up until right now, and it's been the same thing going on the entire time. A good example is what's happening right now with some of these restrictions about the vaccine and whatnot. The same people who said Jim Crow was a good thing, let's have blacks and whites separate according to the law. You could not be in the same place because that's what they wanted. The same people are now saying, all right, to keep everybody safe, to keep peace, let's not have unvaccinated people around vaccinated people. It's the same concept.
Well, I feel like, to some degree it is important for the ethnic groups, Europeans, whites, Africans, Cubans, whatever, to maintain their culture and their ethnicities. But at the same time, you have, different ethnicities who want to mingle together and have families. And I think that it's important for, both sides to, it's about freedom and who you want to be with. But
right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
you know what I mean?
Because my thing about that, about integration, about like Jim Crow time, it was a law. You could not be with anybody else. You had to stay in your own community. Now, if you want to stay among all blacks or all whites or whoever, that's fine. That's your choice. It's your prerogative as a free person. However, it shouldn't be
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to maintain that culture and ethnicity. But again, at the same time, you have like some black women who enjoy being with white men, who are married to white men, have families with white men, and vice versa. But, you have those people, and then you have the other side who want to maintain and stay with with people who look like them.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
yeah, that's pretty much what happens. Like most of the time, every race pretty much marries their own race for the most part at like 85, 90, 95%. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It shouldn't be, the government shouldn't be involved with that at all. That should be up to us, make the decision for ourselves.
I agree. But on another note, just to kind of change the topic a little bit, you see in modern day a lot of homosexuals kind of promoting homosexuality to kind of draw people into it, especially children. And I was in Target earlier, and I saw a Target store clerk who was wearing the the rainbow symbol for the flag, and half of that symbol was the Target logo. And I said to myself, why are these corporations, why are these companies promoting homosexuality? And what's the purpose behind it? And why are they using the innocent image of the rainbow that we all grew up with to kind of pull children in and attract them in that way? Like, what is the agenda here? It's the same with veganism. You have the vegan agenda where, people are trying to attract people to that whole, you know what I mean? That it's a model of malnutrition. We don't naturally eat that way. It's not natural for humans to eat that way.
Well, okay, there's two things there. Now, as far as LGBT and all of that, that's about money, really, because a lot of LGBT groups, they give a lot of money to lobbyist groups and they try to get their message across. There's two groups you might want to research. One, obviously, called GLAAD, another one called GLISTEN, and they are spelled as written for the most part, except for GLAAD has two A's in it. They promote stuff like this when you're talking about corporate sponsorships and all the way down to K through 12. They try to get gay positive messaging in school books. That's what GLISTEN does. So it's money really at the end of the day behind it. Same thing with everything else in politics. It's all about cash. And as far as the other thing, what was that about? What was your second point? I forgot.
It was veganism and homosexuality and drawing children and using the rainbow and innocent symbols.
Now, as far as veganism, what they want to do is it's about this whole thing about they're trying to say it won't be enough beef and all this and that. They're trying to it's about environmentalism, and again, it's all about money as well. Beef and farming is tearing the earth up, which is not even really true, because when you have a natural farms replenish the soil, replenish the earth. When you're talking about agriculture and all the aggressive spraying, pesticides, herbicides, all this and that, you have much more destruction. This is why you have parts of China become more desertified because of all the heavy agriculture. So people just have their own agenda, just trying to push with money, and all of us are going to be the ones that are trying to push it on for their own purposes.
Well, there will always be conservatives to fight against it. I'm grateful for that. But, you know, you have like this, it doesn't take a lot of people to promote an agenda like veganism. It just takes a small group with a lot of power and money. And I feel like it's just, I mean, what is your view on the potential for homosexuality to expand and for them to, I mean, it's basically the face of human non-existence. I mean, you have gay people who can't reproduce. And I'm not sure, this may be controversial, but I'm not sure why the way that they, you know, copulate or whatever you want to call it in bed is referred to as sex, because the term sex refers to male.
All right, we going way too far
Hearing.
now. We going too far. We got it's like a family show. So I understand what you're saying, but
Sorry.
no, it's all good. It's all good. I understand what you're saying, but again, I think it's really about cash, people wanting to promote their own agenda, and I think part of it could be about population concerns, because they say, you know, it's too many people, too much of a government, too much of a bear upon the government, and they want to reduce that. That could be part of it. I wouldn't doubt it. But I got a few more calls online. Thank you for the call. Definitely appreciate you.
Okay, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, shout out to the caller. But yeah, I mean, there's always agendas to be pushed. That's why we have to be able to push back on certain things. And about vegans, if you want to be vegan, that's fine. But I think that those that want to push it aggressively, like you must do this, that's the issue. It's the same way if somebody's gay. If somebody's gay, that's their business. It's not my business. But my thing is to pushing it upon people. Okay, if a person makes a choice to do a certain thing, that's their choice. I can't change their mind. However, when you're talking about these kind of lifestyles being pushed upon children, where are we going? Like the whole thing with Lil Nas X. My issue with Lil Nas X is very simple. Lil Nas X came out with, you know, Old Town Road. All the little kids loved the song. It went mega viral. He became like a child. He became like a big star among children, right? He would perform at elementary schools. He went on Sesame Street. So imagine this same guy now. This is your child's favorite artist, favorite song. Then he goes out and he twerks half naked on a Satan. I mean, they can't get any more obvious, can they? They're trying to push all kind of stuff in that. It's direct. Before, when talking about music, it was more subtle. You know, just little things here and there became more and more and more, to the point where you have just men twerking halfway naked in videos. Like, it's like, what are we doing? Where are we going? And also about Lil Nas X, when you're talking about that lifestyle among black men. Oh, before I continue, there's a little issue with Lil Nas X and I guess DaBaby. Briefly, then I'm gonna get back to the calls. Now, DaBaby is a rapper, obviously, and he was at this concert, and before he went out and did his song or whatever, he said a few things. Or during the concert, he stopped and said a few things, giving everybody a shout out. I won't say what the exact shout outs are right here because it's a little bit too graphic. But basically, he said something about people that don't have any kind of diseases like AIDS and those that aren't engaging in the alternative lifestyle. Shout out to them. So the LGBTs took those statements and linked them, saying, are you saying that gay people have AIDS? You trying to say that? How dare you apologize right now? He did apologize, but he apologized just for the HIV part, not for the whole thing about LGBT. Anyway, HIV and LGBT lifestyle is linked. That's a fact. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Do you know this stat? 50% of gay black men will catch HIV according to the CDC. I'll say that one more time because you didn't hear me. 50%, meaning half, one out of every two, 50% of gay black men will catch HIV at some point in their life. So you got Lil Nas X, black guy, you got a lot of black kids looking nuts at you, and you over here twerking and stuff. Little 5-year-old boy, he's confused. might try to participate in that lifestyle. And now, what, 50%? I mean, come on. But I digress. 936 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
ABL, this is the white man you blame. Tommy from Texas.
All righty. What's going on, man?
And I just wanted to point something out that I really wish you'd make a whole video about. Everybody's being so detrimental about everything that's going on. I'd like to point out that in the history of the United States, there has always been more good white people than bad white people. Even up till today, there's not, because of the population disparities, there's not enough black people to vote anything unanimously. It always takes other races, including white people. Slavery was ended because there were more good white people than bad white people. Jim Crow ended because there was more good white people than bad white people, and on and on. And I'm just tired of being lumped in. And sooner or later, they're going to force people like me that never want to pick a side to pick a side, and that's not going to be good for anybody. And I wish you would talk about that, or maybe even do a video about that, and let's quit all being blamed for what other people do just because they're the same color that we are. And that's about all I've got to say.
Thank you for the call, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, ABL.
That's a good point, because you kind of like radicalizing people, and they don't want to do that. But then it's like you push them into a corner. It's like, well, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? I'm trying to live my life in peace. I don't want any problems with anybody. But now you're making me out to be the enemy, and people are going to attack the enemy if they think they got to do that. So yeah, I see where it's going 100%. So here's the article right here. This is on NBC News. It says gay or bisexual black men have 50% risk of HIV. It says the average American has just 1% risk of ever being infected with the AIDS virus, but gay and bisexual black men have a 50% risk. It's right here. Again, I don't tell you lies on this show. I don't tell lies. Trust and believe. But I'm going to get back to it. This is why Lil Nas X is very dangerous. You see, this is why there's such a big backlash against him. And you know what's crazy about that particular article? When I Googled that specific term, a lot of articles I saw, it had it cached in the search where it said 50% or half or something like that in the headline, but the headline changed. That's the LGBT lobby, but I digress. 404, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to? Uh-oh. It went off. It's not my fault. Okay, let's try one more time. 404, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Jason Miller, what's going on, ABL?
Ain't too much, man. What's happening?
We live?
We live.
Man, I gotta be honest with you. I hadn't been watching your platform probably since a couple months after the election. I tried to stay off of YouTube. I saw you hitting on some stuff tonight and thought I'd chime in.
All right, man. I'm glad you're in, man. So what's on your mind? What's happening?
Well, what are y'all discussing tonight?
Just political stuff. You know, I got a few things in the headline, but you know, what's on your mind?
Just wanting to make sure that all your listeners on your platform know Cyber Symposium, August 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Okay, now what is that?
That's Mike Lindell's. He's got the CPACs of all the captures from the election, and he's going to be running them over and over and over for 3 days and nights. And he's got $5 million that he's putting up for anybody to contest and can prove that they're not the legitimate results of the election.
Okay, all right.
And then in September, he's already got a case in front of the Supreme Court with everything. You don't know about the Cyber Symposium, ABL? Come on.
I mean, hey, I didn't hear about it. I don't know everything.
You're on top of it usually.
Yeah, I try to be.
They can check it out. Go to frankspeech.com. That's Mike Lindell's platform. Of course, I'm just getting it out there. I just want to get everybody informed so they can see what's going on. And every current member of Congress and the legislator, they're all invited. They can all go, and all the tech geeks, they're there. And like I said, they're putting up $5 million, but they're gonna show us finally gonna show us the real results of the election.
Well, it sounds good to me. I can't wait for it. Can't wait to see the results.
Yeah, I mean, you remember when we were watching your platform, what happened election night?
That was crazy, where everything just stopped.
I had you, I had Crowder, I had Brian Tate, I had Joe Rogan, I had everybody pulled up watching it, and then one by one they started dropping off. And before I knew it, I had to watch the mainstream news election for them just to tell us that water pipes have busted and that they're stopping count.
Right.
They're putting it right here in our face, man. This is total takeover.
It's crazy, man.
We got to call it for what it is, man. You got to get everybody united. ABL united. We can overcome this tyrannical government that they're pushing down our throat. People don't understand. If you don't stick up for your rights today, they will be gone tomorrow.
That's right.
So that's about it. Cyber Symposium, frankspeech.com, or just put in mypillow.com and it'll take you there too.
Well, thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate it.
Promo code ABL for 66% off.
All right, now.
Just kidding with y'all. Check it out, ABL. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for doing what you're doing, brother.
All right, no problem. All right, shout out to the caller. Let's get to a few more here. Let's go. Hold on one second. 540, you're the line. Who am I speaking to?
Oh, hey, ABL. This is Adrian Arco. Can you hear me all right?
I hear you well.
All right, awesome. So I was thinking back to a show, I think this previous week, about a lady who called in about her Hispanic parents and how she was able to convince them to be against the border policy. Last time I called, it was about arguing for the facts and advocating for the facts, but without using the facts. And I just wanted to touch on that idea a little bit more, because I had the same issue with my parents and getting them to kind of reverse their stance on border policies as well. And for anybody out there, I had good luck with not referring to labor statistics or economic statistics when it comes to that border policy stuff, but instead referring to families, because people who come over through the border illegally, unfortunately, the families break when they do that. In many cases, many children come alone, or mothers will leave their families by themselves and head over to the border and cross over to the U.S. without the rest of their family either. So focus on families when it comes to advocating against border policies. Many of them get broken on the way here. Many of them get abused on the way here. That's the much better way of doing so.
Yeah, I mean,
in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense, because it's kind of weird how the whole that narrative was kind of there, talking about the families when Trump was there. The whole thing about kids in the cages, that was a thing, but now that seems to have kind of disappeared. But it's like, wait a minute, let's not talk about let's talk about that for real. If we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it for real. There's an obvious problem right now with the families and the children that are. So you have a pretty good point.
And the interesting thing is, the funny thing is, my parents watched a lot of Univision, and on Univision they bring up these stories all the time about children who were dropped off at the border and then came over to the U.S. alone, and then somehow, some way, Univision finds the parents, and then they meet for the first time in like 10, 12, 13 years. And the way they spin it is really hilarious, in the fact that they're like, oh, we finally found their parents. But then it's obvious from the whole story that they were cut off from their family to begin with. And that whole part is never even acknowledged.
Right. They don't give you the full story. It's all about kind of like propaganda, really.
Yeah, exactly. And then just because this is going to be an issue for those of us who are unvaccinated holdouts going forward, I'm recently starting to get a wave of people expressing their anger towards the unvaccinated and the complaints about becoming remasked after being shortly unmasked. And so far, the only thing I've tried with people that's worked, people who have come and vented to me about this, is because the premise is great. Because the people are unvaccinated, I must now go and get remasked. However, it's a weird argument that they're making only because it's pure rage. So they're being told to be mad at the unvaccinated, but the only thing I've found to get people to steer away from that thinking is to point out the fact that it's not us who made you the promise that you were going to get released from the masking by vaccinating. The truth is, the administration, the government has been telling you for the past few months, get vaccinated and you'll be free. You did your part, you listened, and now they went back on their promise. So don't be mad at us. We never made you a promise, but be mad at them for making you a promise and not keeping it.
Well, yeah, of course. And then, I mean, there's also the fact that you can be vaccinated and still spread it, and people can still go to the hospital. So it's not like.
So I don't even mention that part.
Huh? So you don't say that part?
No, I don't say that part because that just goes back into the data and statistics. All I tell them now is you were given a premise. Your premise was get vaccinated and you can go back to normal. And now the government has gone back on their premise. Your anger's misdirected. You need to be angry at them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And so far, I've tried that with 2 people, and it seems to be working all right. Afterwards, I would joke with them is, well, it's good. Now you can, congratulations, you're an American for the first time. From resistance, that's the way we go.
Right.
Yeah, so that's all I wanted to get out there.
Well, thank you for the call. Definitely appreciate you. A lot of good advice right there.
All right, awesome. Thank you, ABL. Once again, this is Hadrian Arco.
All right, now take care.
All right, thanks.
All right, shout out to the caller. I mean, that's a good advice. It's like, if you're dealing with people, they're trying to argue, trying to have a debate. I mean, personally, I like to do things a little bit differently. But if you must engage in that type of, it makes sense to go ahead and go about it that way. All right, Tariq, what's happening?
Hey, what's up, ABL, man? I just want to piggyback on what that caller said about choosing a side, because, man, he was speaking real. And what's sad is that if he was on the mainstream media or caught on camera saying that, they would have just called him a racist. They would have said, choose a side. What do you mean choose a side? Without understanding the context or the logic. But that is true. Like, if the media, and it's 100%, I put this 100% on media, college institutions, when you're constantly attacking white people and you're making white people think about race in a way that they've never thought of it, they're always being called racist. Like any confrontation with the black and the white person is always racist. If just a white cop so happens to kill a black person, regardless of the context, it's always racist. White people protesting, always racist. That is going to make someone radicalized. And then if it's one race, let's say if it's black people, because black people on Twitter, man, we call white people all type of names. Twitter ain't banning nobody. When it's coming from specific racial groups, then that can make someone hate you, because they're like, God dang, if these group of people think this about me, then I'm gonna think that about them, or I'm gonna vote in a way or go in a political way that works against them. I want them in power, and that is what the media is creating. And if you notice, in America, man, we've never really had a serious conversation about race. It's always one-sided, and it's funny because black people, it's like they act like they want to talk about racism with white people, but they really can't take it, because if white people truly spoke their mind about what they thought the problems of black people are, a lot of us will get very emotional and we'll get loud and start calling them racist. So no one is really trying to have no serious racial conversation. This is exactly why racism still exists. And I mean, not only that, man. It's just America is divided, and it's just the mainstream media. And the one thing I do love about Trump when he was elected is he woke a lot of Americans up, especially on the right, finally about the corruption of the media. And then there's another thing about Lil Nas X, man. When it comes to black people in entertaining, man, I just feel like the white liberal can throw as much money at us, and we will just do whatever it takes just to get some limelight. Because Lil Nas X, in my opinion, he's not talented. He's not talented. After that Old Town Road, all of his other songs was garbage. And it seems like the only way Lil Nas X can gain any type of traction is if he does something extremely gay. That's it. No one is really bumping his music. And you know what I'm saying? It's like when it comes to black people, it just feels like we are always the ones that so easily to be manipulated to push this. And then stereotypes is created about us, and then we get upset at the stereotypes. But we do nothing to challenge these like nothing internally to fix these stereotypes. You know what I'm saying? It's just like with hip hop. Hip hop is very negative. The current hip hop, drugs, sex, everything else, and then now we're including just the most lustful, carnal version of homosexuality. It portrays a negative image of black people. But yet but then we'll go around. We'll say, first of all, hip hop is not a problem, and secondly, you shouldn't stereotype black people. We don't protect our image, man. And it's like these same white liberals. I'm telling you, man, it's just so interesting with the white liberal. They will sit there and push that on us, but never push this garbage on their own family. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna promote music within white people to keep themselves or excuse me, kill other white people, call white women out of their names. But they would definitely pay black people to self-destruct. But because we act like we never had any money, and we see the white liberal as our friend, we just allow it, man. I'm telling you, bro. At this point, man, I hope things keep getting worse for us because I'm at the point where it seems like it needs to hit rock bottom for us to really understand what the heck is going on. Because I feel like we are living through constantly. We got this idiot named Joe Biden who can't even form a sentence yet. Black people was beating up other black people, forcing us to vote for him. They didn't get no concessions. They didn't get anything out of it. They got nothing out of it. The man was insulted, but we was beating each other up to vote for Joe Biden. So yeah, bro, it's got to hit rock bottom for black people, for us, bro. And that's pretty much all I got to say, man.
Thank you for the call, man. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Very well said. Yeah, I see a lot more of that. People they want things to just accelerate, just to go ahead and hit the rock bottom, because until that happens, people won't always get the point. They won't really get the picture. I go back to Yuri Bezmenov. I always quote Yuri Bezmenov, but it's just the reality. And until that boot crashes your head all the way in, you might not really understand what's going on. You guys, of course, do, but a lot of people out there don't really get it until they have to get it, and there's no other choice. It's right in front of their face, and they can't ignore it. That's usually how it goes. 908, you're on the line. I'm speaking to.
Hi, my name is Dave McKenna.
All righty, what's happening?
Oh, not too much. I was just calling in. I own a fishing company down in Honduras, actually, and worked in the fishing industry my whole life. And it's funny how you see the cultural divide and the sort of the white guilt in the fly fishing industry now. It's sort of turning on itself as being sort of this racist, patriarchal industry, and been accused of white saviorism for owning a company in Honduras that keeps women out of sex trafficking.
Right. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
It's wild. I started this company down in a very dangerous place to keep my friends' families out of very dangerous positions where they have to go work in the mainland, and was after helping and sponsoring a film for Orvis, was accused of white saviorism. They edited my whole business out of the film, and very weird what what the industry is doing and what sort of the sports industry is doing, turning on itself.
I mean, I think a lot of that, you got a lot of these woke people that get into leadership roles, or a lot of the journalists are involved with that, and then they shape the narrative. It's silly. It doesn't make any sense, but that's kind of what happens.
It's very odd. You've got people that are trying to do good things down there, and then they get attacked by the same side that's just encouraging this mass immigration. And there's people that are really doing a lot of work down there to try and improve the situation down there, as Kamala Harris would go onto the news and say. And then on the back end, they attack those people and accuse them of doing things like white saviorism, or anything that has to do with fair trade business down there is attacked, by the left completely. So it's a lose-lose situation for people who are trying to help out down there.
Right, exactly.
So, but I love the show. Thank you very much.
I thank you for the call. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one.
Yeah, it's like I don't really get it, because it kind of reminds me of the same thing with like gentrification. They said that's a bad thing, but it's like the exact thing that you want if you live in an area like that. The people that live in the area where gentrification happens want gentrification, but they want it on their terms, but they can't have it on their terms. I'll explain. Like if you're living in one of these poverty-stricken areas, urban inner city, ghetto, whatever, what's the main thing you want if you live in there? Aside from safety, of course, which is a different story. Aside from safety, you want jobs. And when people come in there and they revitalize the area, they bring your Starbucks and they bring factories and they bring jobs. They uplift the area, bring the property values up. That's called gentrification. And that's a bad thing. But it's what you ask for. People want all the jobs and all the economic benefit without having to do anything to get it. They just want to live the same kind of poverty lifestyle, but have that poverty lifestyle be upgraded to a safer and, I don't know, just better life. But that's not how things work. If you want certain things, you got to be able to go out there and make something happen. You can't just have things be brought to you and do nothing to keep it or to receive it. If you're not ready for things to improve, then don't ask for them to improve. And if things do improve, well, you got what you asked for. And then same thing with some of these other countries. You get people to come in there and invest into your place. They come in there, they bring in business. Don't try to say, oh, this is I'm being exploited and this is white saviorism. No, you want business, you want industry. Well, here it is. If you don't want it, then you don't want it. But don't say that you want it and then at the same time you don't want it. 828 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hello, Anthony. I'm Debbie from North Carolina. Thank you for taking my call.
No problem.
I'd like to talk to you about a kind of a different topic, if you don't mind. I'd like to know your thoughts on how do we get the right figures on how many people are in the hospital? I mean, how do we know what to believe, these numbers that we hear? Is there some way that we can get kind of a accurate take on that?
Well, I don't know about how they get the actual numbers, but what I do know is there are things you can do to have an idea of what's happening. Like let's say, prime example, like where you live right now, there may be certain things in the news that they say. You can kind of fact check that if you know anybody that works at the hospital, or just go to a hospital and ask people, ask the nurses, ask the doctors, like, hey, what's going on? Is there a big influx of patients? Are you getting a bunch of virus patients or whatever? And they'll tell you. Like, I know nurses, right. I know some doctors, and they tell me what's going on, and it doesn't match up what's happening in the news. So if you hear straight from the actual ground of people that treat patients one thing, and the news said something else, you know right there that it's a lie. So you know right there to not trust the news and what they're saying. And we also know some facts that people who have the vaccine can also transmit the virus. They can catch the virus and transmit it. So when Joe Biden says it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated, that's not true, because you can be vaccinated and catch it and transmit it. There's all kind of things from the CDC that came out. I put one study up in the on the show. Matter of fact, if you on your phone or you're on your computer there's a pinned comment in the comment section from me. If you click on it, it says CDC study. There's a study right there where they're talking about there was one particular town, I think it was in Massachusetts. In this town, 75% of those who had the virus and transmitted it were vaccinated. So you have evidence.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's on the CDC's website, cdc.gov. So there's a lot of evidence that points toward what the news saying is not true. Although there's not a way that I know of to get all the numbers. There's some numbers out there that give you a general picture of what's happening.
Yeah, okay. I've got kind of a disturbing story that was recounted to me by a friend of mine that went to the hospital. And as long as I don't mention the hospital, can I tell this account that she told me? She had a nurse was talking to her, an RN, about the virus and what happened with some of the patients that came in. Is it all right if I tell that on your program?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, this friend of mine, I talked to her today. She doesn't lie. She's very reliable. She was having a heart cath. And the RN that was taking care of her IV, she and the RN were having a discussion. And my friend wanted to know, she was asking the RN, it was a man, questions about, the virus and what the hospital's policies were and whatnot. And the RN told her something that I've kind of heard alluded to, and especially in the beginning of all this thing. And this is what the RN told my friend. He said that they have had patients come into the hospital, say, with a heart attack or something unrelated to the virus. And this part is kind of hard to believe, but not really, that there have been people that died and they should not have died, say they had a heart attack. They would examine them, take care of them, put them somewhere like in a room or a cubicle and not let anybody in there, and they called it the virus. And she said he told her that the hospital got $37,000 for that if the patient died.
Wow.
Now that is just wicked. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
I've heard things like that before, like as far as money. Yeah, I have heard things like that. I've not heard a story quite like that, but I have heard similar things to that.
Right. I had not heard it from somebody. It was like secondhand to me, but it was firsthand to my friend. And it happened. She heard that last week. This is current. She heard it last week. So that's pretty disturbing, and that's why I don't really trust what I hear about the numbers of how many people have this virus. And it's just hard to know. We can't. I don't think we get the full truth anywhere really.
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah. Do you have time for another quick account on another subject about the border?
I got like about a minute left on this particular call.
Okay. A family member that lives in Canada, they're totally convinced, to the point of being really almost vicious about it, that the border is closed. He said the border is closed. I don't know where you all are hearing these lies. And I talked to a lady today that is a Mexican lady. She's a businesswoman now. She let me ask her a couple of questions, and she said, "Sure, I'll answer your questions." And I said, "Is it true what we hear that the cartels they're taking advantage of these people?" She said, "It's absolutely true." She said, "I came to the border in 1980 and I was turned back. I had to go home. Then I came again, and she came in legally. Now she's a businesswoman." And she said, "We don't even drive home to Mexico, to my hometown. It's too dangerous. We fly." And I asked her, I said, what would help? What would help the situation down there? She said it was a lot better when Trump was in charge. And that came right out of the horse's mouth, so to speak. So Anthony, thank you for taking my call, and I love your program.
Thank you for the call. Definitely appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great call. I mean, people down on the border, they know what it is. They know that Trump was most certainly better for the border because right now it's just out of control. It's funny when people that want to defend the border being wide open talk about, oh, you being racist against the Mexicans or whatever. That's racist to think that it's just them coming across illegally because it's not. I'm seeing Africans, I'm seeing white people, I'm seeing everything coming across the border because it's open. Everybody wants to come here. It's not even a race thing. It's about if you're able to get to the southern border and you want to come illegally, you have the opportunity to do it. And that's just the reality of what's going on right now. All right, let's get to the next one here. If you called in already tonight, you can't call in twice. Tonight, you can call in the next time. Let's get to the next one. Let's go. Okay, give me 1 second. 703 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
My name is Alex.
All righty, what's happening?
Nothing much. I'm just want to ask you like a couple of questions.
All right, go for it.
As we were kind of going through the lockdowns, as the Democrats have been flip-flopping with the lockdowns. First, we need a lockdown. First, we need a mask up. Then, if you get yourself vaccinated, you can get you all said well. But as we're now seeing everything like falling apart on their narrative, how it's just like basically the whole narrative of vaccination works, but that doesn't work anymore. How they're trying to, how there speaks of a new lockdown coming in across the nations and many other nations about that. And do you ever think that that could ever happen?
Well, as far as more lockdowns, could that happen?
Yes.
It could happen, but I'm not really sure about nationwide. I think what'll happen is maybe some of the blue states will be involved with it, but in the red state, no, because there's too much riding on it politically. People have already been exposed to the lockdown. They know that there's a lot of problems. Aside from the economics, which is an obvious problem, you have people, the suicide issue, the drug overdose issue, the crime. It's just too much going on from the lockdowns. So people are not going to want to do it, especially in the red state. So they're not going to do it in the red state. In a blue state, maybe. California, I would assume they would go on a lockdown, but nowhere else.
Many of these red states for the past year never really closed down. It's only from most of these blue states. And now as they're trying to reinstate this whole lockdown procedure, I'm seeing more and more people are saying, no, we're not going to have this. We're not going to lock ourselves down. You can, excuse my language, you can kiss my donkey.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on.
But I think it's just like, it comes to a point when I've seen some people are saying, like, if they're going to be pushing out a lockdown, someone's going to be raising up guns, which I'm not advocating. I'm not advocating for violence. That is the last thing I would ever want. But do you think that could ever come to a situation like that?
No, I think what'll happen is it just won't happen because a lockdown must be enforced. And if nobody decides to lock down, then what are you going to do? How are you going to enforce it? If the police refuse to enforce it, if the businesses refuse to shut down, if people refuse to stay home, then what can you do? You can't enforce it. So it just won't happen depending upon where you are. Now, some places, some people might think that it's righteous to enforce it. Then that could be a problem. But I think in most places, it just won't happen. Like where I live, back, I think it might have been last year, the police chief got on TV and said he would not enforce any mask mandates. He got on TV and said it. So he's not going to enforce mask mandates, nor will he enforce lockdowns. So I think that'd be very similar across the country because a lot of the local police and whatnot, they know that the lockdowns and stuff are going to be detrimental. They'll do more harm than good, so they're not really going to enforce it. But in some parts of the country, they may enforce it.
But do you think this push for more lockdowns is going to be hurting the Democrats more often?
It depends because I see some people, they're scaredy cats and they say that they want this stuff to be locked down. So it really just depends. I'm not really sure how many Democrat voters are in favor of the lockdown and how many are against. It's kind of hard to tell. But I think that it could hurt them depending upon how their electorate feels. It really could. And you know what? I think that a lot of people that do vote may be against the lockdowns, and that might affect them. But it'll affect any conservative that does it a lot more than the left. It's more people on the left that are in favor of lockdowns than it is on the right.
Yeah. And, I live in a family full of Democrats, and they're oftentimes more subservient, calling the pandemic, have been vaccinated. I'm the only one. Me and my uncle are both salty crackers here, and we have not been taking the vaccine. We do not trust this nonsense that they're trying to push out. I'm not trying to swear here.
No, I hear you 100%. I mean, I don't trust it either.
But I'm trying to keep this Christian, but I think it's just but more and more Democrats, as we're seeing, a lot of people leaving out of these blue states, moving out of the red states, and registering as Republicans. And I do think, I want to make this quick so I can move on to the next question. And I do think that more and more people are starting to see what's been happening, especially with Trump had been exposing all this corruption from the media, from the entertainment, from every aspect of our institutes within America.
Right.
And can I ask you this one question before we end this call?
All right, go for it.
Now, I've been hearing a lot of people have been saying that usually some people say Gen Z is more conservative, Gen Z is becoming more liberal or socialist. What is your perspective on that as a fellow Gen Zer?
On what now, as far as Gen Z becoming more socialist?
Or conservative?
Well, I'm an old millennial. I'm not in the Gen Z, but I think what I see from the Gen Z is that you have, how can I say, you have different. They're more political than a lot of people that were their age were in the past. I put it to you like that. But you have different camps. You have those that are going all the way far to the left, and then you have those that are going more far to the right. So,
well, it's more. I mean, with every generation, there's always going to be different parties and factions. But oftentimes, well, the millennial or the millennials weren't that very politically active, but they were usually liberal. But with conservative, there's some talk of them becoming more conservative, more religious, more anti-government.
Yeah, I think what happened with millennials is that a lot of when we were younger, we were more liberal. But as we got older, we became more conservative. It was more of a split in between liberal and conservative. But we were more liberal as we were younger. But Gen Z, I feel like they are deeper into their political ideology at an earlier age than we were. So we were liberal out of ignorance as millennials. But the Gen Z crowd are liberal or conservative, and they feel more educated. And oftentimes they are more educated about the decision. I think that's probably the difference.
Right. Yeah, even for me, being 19 years old, I'm more conservative than I am liberal, and I live in a very liberal area in Northern Virginia.
Oh yeah.
Back to equate.
Yeah.
I mean, I called you a while ago, but a few months ago, but yeah, I mean, it's a hellscape here, but I'm just trying to get through the times, trying to get that education in, so I can get the hell out.
There you go. Right on.
Oh, sorry, I said hell. Oh my goodness. But if I can say one more thing, I would say there is a clip. If anyone wants to look up this on YouTube, if you click on George Orwell's last words, it kind of accounts of what's been happening in such a great extent. And if you ever have a chance, listen to that, and you'll realize holy hell, how far we've gone into this. Well, thank you for taking my call, Anthony.
All right, thank you for the call. Appreciate it.
You too.
All righty. Shout out to the caller. And shout out to all the generations out there, whether you Gen X, Z, millennials, everybody. All right, let's get to the next one here. And the lines are jumping. Y'all just hang tight. Okay. Let's get to 509, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, ABL. It's Adam. I want to just speak to you. My wife does COVID contact tracing for the military, and basically have over 75% of the people getting infected are vaccinated. I don't know if you've.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw it was a study from like a particular town, Massachusetts. Like that was the results. And matter of fact, I think I have that particular study linked to the top in the pinned comment in the comment section of this video.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff considering what they're pitching. But is that? I was wondering, could you post to Odyssey by any chance? Because YouTube is like lagging out. Like it says, this live stream is happening yesterday. And
yeah, I don't
buffering. I have gigabyte internet, and it's like just buffering.
I don't know. You might want to just refresh because I have gigabyte internet too. Yeah. So I don't know what it's doing that. It's just kind of weird.
Oh, and I just wanted to give a shout out to, I don't know if you've seen another YouTuber. It's Anthony Aguero, real Anthony Aguero. He's basically the only press that goes down to the border, and he's down there every day. So if you're ever curious of what it looks like down there, just subscribe to his channel.
Yeah, shout out to him.
He's got a lot of good stuff.
Absolutely.
And thank you for all you do, man.
Oh, thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate it.
Of course, man. Take care.
All righty. Shout out to him. Yeah, 75%. That comes from the study from the CDC about a particular town in Massachusetts. This is at a town in Barnstable County, if I'm not mistaken. There's an article that cites this source on RT. I'll put the article right here on the screen. And again, that study is linked in the very top comment, so you can read through the whole thing for yourself. Don't take my word for it. But here it is. CDC releases study showing 3/4 of Delta cases are among the vaccinated. But they say masks are the answer. It says it right there. So, I mean, again, it's not me making it up. I don't make things up. If I'm joking, I'm joking. But if I'm telling you a statistic, I have the evidence. This is an RT article, but again, they cite the CDC. And the CDC source is pinned to the top comment in the comment section of this live video that you're watching right now. And I might put that in the description of the audio only, so you can see that if you're listening to audio only, you could just read it for yourself and don't take my word for it. I always tell people, hey, don't listen to me. I know nothing. Read it for yourself. And then you can figure out what's happening, and you'll be able to tell me if I'm wrong. All right, let's get to the next call. Our number to call, 434-658-1220. 480, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, what's going on, ABL? This is Aaron. I was just calling in to discuss with you on your thoughts on LeBron James and how you're saying that, America's so racist and that's the reason why his movie tanked.
That was parody, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry, say again?
I think that was parody. I don't think that was real. I saw that same clip. It wasn't on the real. It wasn't on the real page.
Oh, okay. I'm mistaken then, because I saw something along the lines like that.
Yeah, it did look real for a minute. It almost got me too. I was like, wait a minute. But I always like to fact check because a lot of stuff is out here that's not right, including the mainstream media. But they put out fake stuff too. So when I looked at it, it was like, no, that's not real.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for clearing that up for me. Yeah, sometimes I don't always get my facts straight. But on another topic, I saw Walmart is starting to do like a mandate for the vaccine for like their headquarters and then like certain like manager positions. Like, what do you think about that? And like, as far as where do you see this going in the future as far as the mandate vaccine?
I mean, there shouldn't be any mandates because it's like if I want it and that's what I want to do for myself, then that should be my choice. And if I don't, that should be my choice as well. And this is not a thing that has really been tested throughout time. We don't have years and years of experience with it. So it's not only a thing that shouldn't happen because I should be able to have some autonomy, but also it's just it's not proven. It's not safe. It doesn't make any sense to do it. I'm not a fan of it at all. I don't think this should happen.
Right, I'm right there with you. I don't agree with it. I'm just kind of worried about it because it's like I'm seeing it going in a direction. Like everybody keeps talking about the vaccine passport. Soon, you're not gonna be able to do anything. You're not gonna be able to grocery shopping. You're not gonna be able to have a job. It's like at that point, what are we supposed to do as people here in America? The people that don't want to, get the vaccine because we don't trust, that there's been enough studies on it yet. For instance, I mean, my mom, she passed away a week later after getting her second COVID shot.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm not saying that's what it was caused from, but to me, that's just kind of a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. And, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, is it a coincidence or was there any kind of correlation? You see, and it makes you think. You have to think when something like that happens. And, what's happening right now is that the media and the government don't want you to ask any questions like that. But why can't I ask questions? Isn't that what science is, to ask questions and to figure out what's going on? So why is it that only certain people are allowed to ask questions, but you and I can't? I think that's incorrect. I think it should be all of us asking questions to get down to the bottom of this whole thing.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. But anyways, I don't want to take any more of your time. I just want to say thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. And then I also want to give a shout out to my father and my mother-in-law, Ron and Jeanette. Love you guys. See you soon. And you have a blessed night.
All right, thank you for the call, man. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Yeah, man. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to my man for his loss. That's rough, man. Losing your mother, good grief. 1 week later, you got to think, like, why? Why? Yeah, R.I.P. Yeah, Hank Aaron died like some days later. And for me to even ask the question, is it the vaccine that caused it? Then that's enough to get me banned somewhere. Why can't I ask questions? What are they trying to hide? 360, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Pardon me?
You're on the line. Who am I speaking to? Okay, if you have
for Anthony?
If you have the speakers on in the background, please turn it off for me.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all right. So, yeah, this is me right now. This is ABL you're talking to. How's everything? What's going on?
Oh, hey. I was curious and was watching. I'm fairly new to the platform, and I was just calling because I was kind of curious, and I'm sure I could find something in the past, but I was just curious about how to continue being somebody who just you love or hate a person over their content, not their color. Because I'm a 50-year-old white woman who I grew up with my daughter watching That's So Raven and all these other things, and I grew up in the 70s being, watching all sorts of shows with all different colored people, and I never thought that racism was such an issue anymore. And now that I have a 3.5-year-old grandson, I'm just like, how do I explain to him that what he is seeing or what he's potentially going to be exposed to isn't how we grew up? I mean, middle school, we were all drooling over who was going to get to go see the Michael Jackson concert and all this kind of stuff. It just didn't seem like racism was an issue. And it was like, how do I, without trying to go, try to, find token friends, or this kind of stuff. It just seems like society, is it really that bad? Because I'm in Washington State, and we have military, we have Boeing, we have so many different cultures and everything like that. I was caught off guard by the whole racial thing that went on. And so it was a little disheartening to me to see all this unfold, and it's like, how do we really fight back without being fake? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think one thing to understand is that most people, the majority of people in America, aren't really caught up on the whole race thing. When you just go out there in the world, in the general public, it's not really a big deal. If you're just a regular person and someone else is too, it's not this whole big thing about race. So a lot of the people that really push the whole narrative about race are the academic types that go on television to push fear, and then some of the rabble rousers in the community that want to just start stuff to get attention and money for themselves. Prime example.
That seems to be the thing.
Yeah, that's like that everywhere. So, if you're talking about, teaching your grandson, it's like, hey, you got some bad people out here that don't mean you any good. That don't mean anybody any good, and they're just bad people. And there's also good people, and that's just really the long and short. I think that this whole race thing is just a way that bad people are bad, whereas it may have been different things they did in the past.
Yeah, that's for sure. But boy, I tell you, it's been an eye opener, because I've always been Republican in my voting practices, but at the same time, it was like, there's a lot of things where I thought it's really important to have that, community support and everything else. But, it just seems like I was caught blindsided. I think it was part of my ignorance, because I didn't really watch what was truly happening. And, and all of a sudden I'm like, why are all of a sudden all this, white folks thrown into this, we're racist bigots, especially if we voted for Trump, and I don't have a husband to tell me to vote for Trump. So it was like, why am I all of a sudden thrown into this camp of, I'm just, a white racist? And I'm like, no, because, it's like I grew up not even thinking as race. I mean, you're either an a-hole or you're not an a-hole in my book. But it was just all of a sudden blindsided. It's like, I was just curious on what we can do to try to help promote and encourage our youth. And my daughter, I love her so much, and and she's doing her best. And my grandson's best friend, his mom is white, his dad is black, But it's like, how do you say? I'm sorry that this little beautiful boy that they have is going to be judged by his skin color, when a lot of us, I guess, we're just living in ignorance, because we're like, oh, everybody is just treated by what they do, and this and that, and all of a sudden this media storm of, oh, if you're this color, you're that way, and if you're that color, it's that way. It's like, it's very disheartening, and I'm glad to see somebody show that, it's like, no, there's certain political beliefs, religious beliefs, and things like that could potentially help. Most of Americans, I think, are good. And I think it's just weeding out that bad. And so, anyway, that was my thought.
Well, I thank you for the call. Definitely appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much.
I know. All righty. Shout out to the caller. Yeah, I mean, there's people that just want to they want to see the world burn, and you just got to tell your kids that, and tell them the right thing. Just teach your kids the right thing, and tell them that people out there just want to see the world burn. And a lot of what they are going to hear is just not true. People believe it's true, but it's not. That's it. I was always told, don't believe everything you see on TV. Don't believe everything everybody tell you. Do your own research. Simple. I was always told that, even way back in the day. So I've always had a skeptical mind and be like, hey, wait a minute. Just question stuff. Don't be afraid to question stuff. Don't be afraid to try and learn something, to figure out a thing, to see if it's right or wrong or true or false. All right, let's get to a few more. Let's go. 817 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hi, this is Julie from Texas.
All righty, what's going on?
Hi. I don't know if you had a chance to catch that the UN set up a base at Langley this week under the blessing of General Milley, but I was wondering how you felt about the odds of the UN troops enforcing lockdowns and such, or even something other coming down the pike in the future, because I don't know, I've been under the impression that that's been the intention of the Democrat government for a long time now, to either federalize the police force, or then eventually have the UN troops come in, cause chaos, and have them come in and start enforcing things around here. And it looks like they're already moving in under the radar screen. So I was just wondering what you thought the odds were of them starting right away with the next lockdown.
Well, they'll try to do a lockdown in certain places, in certain blue states that may be cooperating. But I don't think it will be any UN or anything on the streets. If that happens, now you got a serious problem. You're gonna have some serious civil unrest beyond what happened during the BLM stuff, in my humble opinion, and that's not going to be a thing that'll be beneficial. So that'll do the exact opposite of having people locked down. It'll bring more people out. It wouldn't make any sense at all. So I don't think that will happen, but I think certain blue states will try to enact lockdowns. It won't work in the red state because you're going to have the governors and everybody else on board, and that'll be guaranteed. They definitely will lose the next election. It'll be a lot of trust lost among Republicans in general. So it won't happen in red states, but in blue states it may. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out in certain parts of the country, but it won't happen in all of the country at all.
What do you think their intention is with bringing in the UN troops?
I don't think that will happen.
You just don't think they're going to do that at all?
No.
Here? Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate your work and I appreciate your insight.
Well, thank you for the call. Definitely appreciate you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right. Shout out to the caller. Yeah, UN. They try to bring the UN. That's just going to cause more problems. Now you're going to have civil unrest. So if you're trying to lock people down, how does it make sense to bring the UN to bring more people out? No. All right, let's get to the next one here. 812, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, this is Angel Martin. Sorry, I didn't think it went through. I thought we disconnected. Love your show. You're one of the few bigger conservative shows I watch. I am very conservative, but a lot of them I just feel like aren't very sincere. But you're a really sincere guy, and I just wanted to tell you a story real quick that happened to my husband's employee a couple of weeks ago in Nashville. He was visiting Nashville with his 4 small children and his wife, and they stopped at an IHOP it was in a black area. They were, everybody in the IHOP was black, including his wait staff, and he was seated 2 seconds after this other table that had it was a black man and I think his family. And they had a real simple order, though, so their food got brought out first by their black waitress. And this is just broke my heart to hear this. I couldn't believe this. And I'm surprised that it was a man. The man at the table next to them that got seated right before them said, how sweet, the perfect little white family got their food first. And he didn't say anything. He was just hoping it would blow over, but shortly thereafter, the table beside them and the table beside them, like 4 or 5 other tables joined in and started heckling them. And this is an all black staff, all right? And they're I don't know, they were insinuating the black waitress was being racist by serving them first. But long story short, because he didn't say anything. This guy that started the whole thing was really huge too. And our friend Mikey, he had his little kids there. So they got up without even eating their food and started to leave. And people were trying to trip his little kids on the way out. And I just I couldn't believe this. He's so colorblind and, just decent, right? He didn't say, oh, look, too many black people in there, I'm not going to go in that restaurant. He thought nothing of it. He sat down and, he didn't think that he was in hostile territory. And it's it was just such perfect proof to me that these people, they don't care about racism or inequality. They just wanted to be the beneficiaries of it.
Yeah.
And that is just
now you
so
see.
sad.
Now this is why. This is why a lot of times when you have a black restaurant or a black area, white folks want to stay away, or non-blacks want to stay away because it's dangerous. Like me, I'll tell you what, it depends on where it's at in Nashville. I know Nashville a little bit. I go there every now and again. There's certain parts of the city I'm not going to go to. I know I know where to go and where not to go. And this may have been a place where I just wouldn't have gone in the first place. So now if you go to a place like that, it might not even be necessarily, it was a race thing at that point, but the danger would not be exclusive to race, if that makes any sense. So in that case, it was a race thing. It was a race thing. But if I go there and then, somebody gives me like a weird look, or I step on somebody's shoe, then it might be a problem depending upon who's there and what the situation is. Or if I look familiar, like, oh, I know you are, you X, Y, and Z, and then I'm denying it and they're not really trying to hear it, it could be dangerous. And this is why a lot of black folks want to not be around that type of stuff too, because there's too much danger going on. And then it's a matter of, oh, you don't want to be here because it's racist. It's kind of it's a weird thing going on. So it's unfortunate that happened, but there's just some places in this country where if you go, it might be a problem, and that might have been where they were.
Yeah, I mean, we're in southern Indiana now. That's where my husband's from, but I'm from South Florida. And there's our Key West was where I'm from. That's my hometown, and it's 15% black. And we had, well, at least growing up, we had like no violent crime, nothing. So like I was very spoiled. Because that was a pretty high black population, and everybody got along so well. There was no like, oh, well, you better stay out. If anything, the dangerous areas was really like the big Coppet, or it's kind of like the trailer park area where it's mostly white people and some Hispanics. But the black area there is Bahama Village. And I don't know why the culture is so different there, but I never understood why anybody would be afraid of going into a black neighborhood because of where I grew up. It was just, we just didn't have these problems, and people were so nice. And honestly, black people are always extremely nice to me when I go out, even when I was in Chattanooga, recently. So I've never encountered this, and I'm not one of those people that avoids black neighborhoods because of where I grew up, because of what I'm used to. I know how to talk to black people. I feel like I could have diffused the situation a bit with like a joke or something, but I just want to point out to people that like this is apparently bleeding over into real life. Like that was the first instance I've heard of like a regular person I know actually experiencing some of this BS that's happening.
Well, I think
in the media.
I think that might not be a media thing. I think that might just be a bad area, bad place.
Yeah,
like I say, I wouldn't even go to a place like that because it could be some other kind of danger for me. Like for your people, for that family, it was a race thing, but for me, it might be something else. And that's something I've always known since I've been a little kid, to not go in certain places, because if I do, then it might not go the way I want it to go. Especially like the worst place to go is like a Waffle House or an IHOP, especially at night. I mean, if you don't have a pistol on you in a bulletproof vest, then don't do it.
Yeah, I won't ever. I don't even like to go into crowded restaurants at all, because it's especially if they're like lower end restaurants. There's a whole mix of different types of people. A lot of people are drunk. A lot of people are, if it's late especially. So I felt it was a bit naive of him anyway, especially in a city he's not familiar with. But the scary thing is he couldn't have done anything, because if he had even tried to defend himself or say anything,
it would have got worse
in this climate now. Oh yeah, and that's what I just want people to think about, because it's sad, because he was so innocent and naive that he didn't think anything of sitting his family down in there. And now what? Now I wonder, like, is he going to have a predisposition now? Is he going to be jaded? And it's just sad, because that's the worst thing about all of this, is that it's revealing those who are actually truly against just this bigotry, no matter who it affects, and those who never had a problem with it. They just didn't like to be on the losing end of it. And that is the ugliest thing in the world to me because I was against it my whole life. As a little kid, I was like, I don't even know. I've grown out of it now because I've got a more realistic understanding of the world. But I used to be like an SJW before there was such a thing because I really thought that if we could just get rid of white racism, everything would be great. Now I realize it's all just about who has the upper hand. Nobody's above it, you know. No one group of people is above that type of taking advantage. So I just hope that most people in this country choose to actually stand on principle instead of what they think will benefit them.
Right on.
But thanks for letting me call in, and just keep up the good work. You're awesome. And my family's from West Virginia, so.
Really? What part? What part?
Charleston, Kanawha Avenue, actually.
Kanawha, yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna tell you. You know, my family we're from Rand. Are you familiar with Rand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're from
yes,
Rand.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I got family all over the place. I was born right there in the city too.
Yeah, you know, I just went back and visited when I took my kids out to Florida to see my family. I drove through West Virginia, and I went to Huntington. That was a mistake. That's a really interesting study in how whites do, in fact, make ghettos under the right.
Yeah, the heroin capital of the United States, Huntington, West Virginia. Unfortunately,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that when I drove through, and I promised my kids we'd go to the playground.
No,
but like that was where we were going to start.
That's going to be that's going to be a bunch of needles and whatnot. You don't want to do that. So yeah, but you know you live and learn. But hey, thank you for the call. I definitely appreciate it.
No problem. Maybe I'll see you later. Thank you.
I know. Yeah, I mean, you live and learn. It's like, okay, certain parts of Nashville you might not want to go to. Nashville overall is really nice. I like Nashville. I've been there a few times because it ain't number like 2 hours away. You know, go up the mountain, go up Mount Eagle, all that. I got my truck, so it's nothing to go up the mountain. You know, go to Franklin, you know, places like that. But if you want to go like into the city and certain parts kind of sketchy, don't do it. You just picking the, you know, you got to kind of like examine where you are. Always like kind of figure out where I'm at, wherever I go. What's the LA gangbanger thing? You know where you at, cuz? That's what you got to know. And it's the same thing with Huntington. I know West Virginia. Huntington is might as well change the name to heroin. Unfortunately, a lot of Huntington is just awash in drugs everywhere. The only violence comes from the Detroit gangbangers. The problem in Huntington is the drugs. Period. That's why I'm so against drugs. People may say, because I say that we shouldn't legalize drugs because I understand what West Virginia is like because I've been there. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. Imagine you getting a pizza delivered and then the delivery person drops a needle in your front yard and you don't know what's on it. Are you going to pick it up? How you going to get that out of your, are you going to call the police? You see what I'm saying? Are you going to put that in the trash? Like, what you going to do? I've seen that. My cousin posted a picture of a needle that got left by the pizza delivery lady. And are you going to eat that pizza knowing that she's a junkie and delivered it to you? It's so common. It's just like you can't even escape it. The only way to escape it is to leave. It's bad. It's real bad. In Huntington, the entire region, really West Virginia is bad. But Huntington and like once you get into Ohio, real bad. All right. But yeah, overall Nashville is nice. Like if I was telling anybody to move somewhere in Tennessee, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis, not so much. Memphis is okay if you don't live in the city. Like in the city, you know, Orange Mound, all that, don't live there. Live like Mississippi somewhere or live like Jackson somewhere further up north. Don't live right there in the city. And if you do live in the city, get your Call of Duty gear, get your artillery prepared for battle. And if you want to go to Atlanta, same thing. Now, if you live on the outskirts of Atlanta, you live way up north, almost Tennessee, then that's fine. If you live way down south like Conyers, that's fine. If you're living in East Point, somewhere like that, which is not really Atlanta, but it's East Point is not Atlanta, but it's inner city Atlanta, if that makes any sense. If you live somewhere like that, then again, Call of Duty gear, armor, Kevlar helmet, all your guns, and wear them on you. Don't get gas past nighttime because it might be a problem. Might try to carjack you. Might try to take something from you. Might try to do how the sliders go on your car. Just be aware where you are. It's just like me. When I go travel, I go down to Hartsfield Jackson and Park in East Point. And if I need gas, I get my gas before I get anywhere close to Atlanta. So I don't need to fill up in Atlanta because I'm not going to stop anywhere in Atlanta. If I need to eat, I'm eating in the airport at a Chick-fil-A or somewhere like that. And then I get in my car and I go up 75 North. I'm not going to stop at all until I get past like Adairsville, somewhere like that. Not anywhere in Atlanta, period. At night, no way. Not happening. Not happening. Memphis is kind of like Baltimore, but not as bad. Memphis is like, what can I compare Memphis to? Memphis is like, I guess something like Baltimore, but Baltimore has a drug problem more than Memphis does, in my opinion. Baltimore is overrun by heroin like Philly. Baltimore is more like Philly, in my opinion. Memphis is like, maybe more like DC. Not really. I can't really. Memphis, it's kind of hard to describe Memphis. You got LA gangbanging in the country. It's crazy. Y'all just scary. No, I'm not scared of nothing. I'm not scared of anything at all in this world. I'm just not a dumb person. That's all. Let's get to the next one. 773, you don't learn who I'm speaking to.
Hey, Bill. Long line of calls tonight.
Yeah, man, what's going on?
Well, several things. I pretty much want to ask you to kind of look at your emails at some point because I kind of send you a whole bunch of important articles. Anyway, have you heard about the CCD person, Rochelle Watson, who keeps on lying and refusing to admit that some of the people crossing the border might be carrying COVID with them?
Oh, well, yeah, everybody knows that.
Yeah, but it's not just that that's a little bit entirely hypocritical. The D.C. mayor now and currently is kind of been caught maskless. She pretty much earlier this week or the prior did not allow a single Cuban American protest sign in support of those Cuban migrants who are coming here and might be doing it the correct way, all because of BLM. So I really think she's a mega racist, just like Maxine Waters.
Oh, of course, ain't no doubt about it.
Okay, well, I wanted to kind of tell you to kind of if you do look at the Gateway Pundits website when you have some free time, there's a whole bunch of new evidence out there about the six, even from video evidence, including new photographs that kind of debunks every one of the mainstream media's claims. And especially if you saw this recent video from Black Conservative Patriot of CNN Don Lemon baiting this Capitol Police into admitting that the January 6th protesters are far more violent and downplay all the violence that BLM did last summer.
Yeah, I mean, I got to check it out. I got to see what's happening with it.
Mm-hmm. And I forgot to kind of tell you about this one. Well, when I asked earlier in the chat about if Joe Biden really said semi-busting white, there is a meme out there of Jen Psaki saying, I can assure you that the president can wipe his own without his wife being there.
Yeah, you said what now?
There's a meme out there of Jen Psaki saying, I can assure you that Joe Biden can actually wipe his own, but without his wife's help.
I doubt that one.
Yeah, I actually do think there needs to be at least a meme out there of Kamala Harris. See how she failed at Border Patrol doing. Say to the effect of that she's been now promoted, but this time she has to kind of take care of a different kind of border, if you know what I mean, with Biden.
Hey.
AKA right. Butt wiping duty. Anyway, he also did say mama on live TV at one point. Don't know what that was about, but I did see the clip. And also, I do have one important topic to kind of ask you about. If you take a look at on the Tatum reports.com, there's a PDF document from the Pfizer company, and it talks about how they're not doing all this to kind of cure COVID. They're just doing this for a profit, and we're just doing it to discredit the drug Trump was promoting.
Well, yeah, that makes sense to me. It more certainly does. You know, it's all about a political narrative, because if it wasn't about a political narrative, then the border would be closed, because if there's an actual problem with this spread and you don't want anybody to come in with the virus, then you wouldn't be having the border wide open and letting them come in with no vaccinations or nothing required. It's pretty simple, man. But hey, thank you for the call. I got a few more on the line. Appreciate you, man.
Okay.
All righty.
Bye.
Yes, it's all political, because I don't know. It's so dumb. It's like, I don't like politics playing with my life here. Let's not have that be the case. Let's get to a few more. And thank y'all again for being here. Definitely appreciate you guys. If you're enjoying what you're hearing so far, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. Let's get to the next one. 480, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hello?
Yes, who am I speaking to?
Hey, Bill, it's Chuck from Arizona. How's your night going?
Everything's going great. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. I'm digging the show. It's a good night. Appreciate you. I wanted to bring up two different things here. I just read an article recently that a Democrat in Texas got arrested, a congresswoman.
Okay, she got arrested. So did she go back? Like, was she one of the ones that left? Did she go back home?
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. That one of them has been arrested, which is pretty surprising. Never happens to where, you know, they're ever brought to justice. So it should be interesting. It'd be definitely setting a precedent, you know, for the rest of them as well. But I did hear that one of them was arrested. She was being walked out, and she wasn't in handcuffs. She was in like she was tied up with like a zip tie, which, you know, in the front rather than the back, because she's not, you know, violent, anything like that, but she's being brought in. So that's just the picture I saw and read a little article, which I thought was interesting. The other thing I wanted to bring up, which I heard from Owen Schroyer earlier, was about the Delta variant. And it's pretty interesting here, which I have sources well for it and kind of my own personal story based off of it. But the Delta variant, CNN actually came out and said that the vaccine, in sense, I believe what they are saying is causing possibly the Delta variant. The first article that I had found here was more infectious Delta variant makes up 83rd% of new U.S. coronavirus cases. Vaccine hesitancy persists. And that's through CNN, which I thought was super surprising, but they're using a different narrative that basically, when you look into it, the study that they're going off of was based off of an 8-month study after the vaccine was introduced, studying how your immune system would react to the COVID and the Delta variant. And basically, your immune system was able to surpass it for 8 months, what the study they actually quoted was from positive new data for Johnson & Johnson single-shot COVID-19 vaccine on activity against Delta variant and long-lasting durability and response. This is the study from Johnson & Johnson itself. And this says in its study, demonstrated strong neutralizing antibody activity against the Delta. Now, when I looked into what the hell neutralizing antibody activity was, basically it's antibody that is responsible for defending cells from pathogens, and it's usually produced naturally, but it's also introduced through vaccines. So now to bring it kind of back full circle to my own kind of instance, I had MRSA, which I don't know if you know what MRSA is, but it was a
bacterial infection.
Bacteria. Yeah. And basically what the doctor had told me is after a while, this is going to become VRSA, which it'll be more commonly known and pretty much everybody will have it, but it won't be as severe. You just got a very severe case of it. It's going to be wide and it'll eventually turn into VRSA, which I kind of thought of it almost as, the common cold. When a baby gets it, after so many times of getting it, builds up antibodies on its own, and then it produces enough to where it can deal with it and it becomes common and you don't die from it, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm seeing with this vaccine as it's doing is it's producing something that will defend for our body. And it does it for up to 8 months, which CNN quoted, this is all from CNN, that it'll protect for 8 months. After that, it doesn't have enough protection to actually fight off of these things, and that's why they're talking boosters. But it's still taking part of the body. And like a white blood cell, when I had MRSA, my white blood cell was through the roof because my body was trying to fight it off. But they said, hey, we need to get your white blood cells down, because what that does is the infection is stronger than your white blood cell count right now. So it's going to turn those white blood cells into the infection. So instead of white blood cells coming into our body, the vaccine is actually producing a type of protein that is what they say produced naturally, normally as part of the body's immune response. And the production is triggered by both infections and vaccines. So this vaccine is bringing in a new form that lasts for 8 months. And after that 8 months, it's not being able to do it. And that's why they're talking boosters. But if it's able to not survive, the main thing it's supposed to do is kill. And if it can't kill, the COVID main thing is to spread. And so it's going to spread. And if it can't spread because it's still being blocked, well, then it'll mutate, and then it'll cause mutation in it, because at that point, your immune system's trying to fight it off. And you have two things mixing up, that is the vaccine and you have the COVID now mixing together. It's like, basically, I told my buddy, it's like this. You got Kool-Aid, right? You get a big bucket of Kool-Aid or water, and you add Kool-Aid to it. That's the COVID introduced, right? That's us getting the COVID. After a couple of years, of drinking more and more water naturally, Kool-Aid becomes super watered down and we're mostly just water again. Right. And then what you're doing is you're saying, no, let's just add another packet of Kool-Aid mix in here. Let's add some purple and let's mix it in, and then we'll see what happens. Right. Well, no, you're going to mix it up and you're going to get something different. And that's basically what's going on at the moment, is we're taking a bucket of Kool-Aid and we're saying, hey, to get it back to normal water, to where we're all back to normal, let's add some more Kool-Aid mix. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. I thought it was completely insane that CNN was actually the one that quoted all of that. I mean, when you follow the actual science of it, they're the ones coming out and saying it. But what they're telling you is 8 months is what the vaccine will do for you. So they're saying, you could drive 215 down the freeway and you'll still get home good. You know what I mean? They're saying it's still good. I mean, you can still do it. 8 months is good. Like 215, you're good as long as you don't crash or anything happen, right? Like, so they're using the sleight of hand basically by saying, it's okay. Like for 8 months, this is what your immune system will do. You will survive both the Delta and the COVID for 8 months if you get the vaccine, is what they're telling you.
No, but
You will survive it.
But here's the question, though, because if it's only 8 months that you have to fight this off and you need a booster, how long is booster going to last? Will it last forever or for 8 months or for longer?
So this is where it gets kind of like conspiracy at my point. Like if this, does go and we do get this Delta variant, right? Well, at this point, right, the Delta variant, they've already told us isn't deadly. So what do they do after that is they introduce another booster with another protein that's different from both of them. So now you got 3 Kool-Aid mixes in there trying to mix it all back together and say, oh, dude, we're going to get water out of this. I'm telling you, one day. You know what I mean? So they add another one, and then you get another variant that's more deadly because this one obviously didn't work. Their concoction didn't work. You know what I mean?
Right. Makes sense.
So I don't know if this is all true. That's some kind of conspiracy, but everything else I said was true. But I mean, at that point, if they want to go and talk boosters, okay, the Delta variant already isn't that bad, right? And COVID is a 98% chance of survival, and it's getting better with herd immunity. The only places in the world right now, the top 5 places that have the most infections right now are places that have the most vaccines. So again, this all relates back to this neutralizing antibody that's introduced through the vaccine. That's basically a white blood cell that's introduced, that's normally produced naturally, but this vaccine introduces it, as said by CNN through their reporting from Johnson & Johnson.
Right.
I mean, it's literally they're telling us, but they're doing it in such a sleight of hand to say, dude, you're going to survive if you do it. You're going to survive, but they don't tell you how long. They don't say, oh, it'll work for 8 months, because then after that 8 months, well, the Delta's introduced in your body. It didn't kill you, so now you need something stronger. Well, how does that make any sense? Like, It makes no sense of what they're saying, and try to follow the next step on why you would need to do that, why a booster would be necessary. And I'm not saying anybody should trust anything I say. They should talk to their doctor,
right? Of course,
before they talk to me. But what I am saying is that's just a very, very sketchy line of thinking. Like, what is going on here to where the top 5 countries with the most infections right now are the most vaccinated countries, and then at the same time the most people with the Delta variant are vaccinated, and this Delta variant spurred out of what? The COVID mutating. And how does the COVID mutate?
Right. I'm with you. I got you. I'm sorry. I may cut you, but you've been on for a while. But thank you for the call. A lot of good information on the call. Definitely appreciate you.
My pleasure. I hope you have a good night, ABL.
All right. Thank you. Hey, it's right on point. Right on point. They don't want to come out and say that. This is when they kind of say, "Oh, we need a booster. We need to try to fix it that way." But what you really might want to say is, the studies show that people who have the vaccine have a higher chance of transmitting the variant. That's what the data say. Not me. The data. It's clear as day. I'm not giving an opinion. I'm just reading the numbers. I got time for one more. If you would know you're in the line, who am I speaking to?
Oh my God. Hi, this is Dottie from LA.
All righty, what's going on?
I can't believe I got you. Oh my God. Okay. In the beginning of Trump's presidency and stuff, I reintroduced myself to Twitter. And when I went on there, I found all these different people who were just like me. It was fantastic. And then when I found you, let me tell you something. You are doing a fantastic job. I love what you do. You make everything just so literal. But what I want to bring to your attention tonight is I missed a little bit of your show, so I don't know if you've discussed Netflix at all. Have you?
No.
Okay. I'm looking for a job. So I figured, well, let me go here. I'm a litigation assistant. And so I thought, well, maybe Netflix has some jobs. So I go in there, and then when I push apply now, something comes up that says voluntary self-identification. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
They're asking, what gender identity do you most closely identify with?
Wait. Hold
This is
on.
for a
What,
job.
let's slow down. So you talking about to sign up for Netflix? Did I miss that?
Yeah, for a job.
Oh, okay.
They're calling it
Okay.
self-identification, voluntary self-identification. And so they're asking you, what gender identity do you belong to, or I most closely identify with? Under that, it says, please select. And so they got agender. I see your lips moving, but I don't hear.
Nah, that's don't please don't watch that because it's a little bit off.
Okay, so it says agender, gender fluid, gender nonconforming, gender queer, man. Wait a second. Man, non-binary, woman, or other. And then another question asks, are you a person of transgender experience? And the third question, what sexual orientation do you most closely identify with? Asexual, bisexual, gay, heterosexual, lesbian, pansexual, queer, bisexual, heterosexual, lesbian, pansexual, other. This is for a job. Is this for real?
It's crazy. That's what it is.
I don't understand. Is this a way they're filtering out people that maybe that's what they want? And if you're not any of that, if you don't answer any of those questions, then you can't work there?
I would assume
Why is that important?
that could be it, because it could be a diversity initiative, just to look good for certain people, for money they come in through donations, through investments. That could be what it is. I mean, if I had to just throw something out there as a guess, that's what I say is going on.
Whoa. Okay. I was shocked by that. It's bad enough trying to find a job. They say there's plenty out there. But the funny thing is, once you get in there, if you're going to be faced with these questions, I think that's a bit much. Anyway, let me just tell you, I'm glad that you're where you're at, that we have access to you. And please keep up. Keep doing what you're doing, all right?
Oh, thank you for the call. Definitely appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, now. All right. Shout out to the caller. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, ain't it? You got all these, what do you identify as on your application? I mean, I guess the whole what do you identify as only works sometimes, right? There was a video that I can't show because it has nudity in it, but I'll explain it to you. It's nothing, it's weird, but it's not like what you may think. Since I said nudity. I may have already said it before, but I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to just bring it back to this whole thing about gender identity and what you identify as or whatever. Now, apparently, somewhere on the train in New York, that's how it starts, right? It always starts on the train in New York. I know y'all get down on them trains. It's ridiculous. But anyway, you have a woman sitting there with like a regular dress or something on. And you have a man, a full-grown man my size. I'm 6'3", right? I'm over 200 pounds. I'm 6'3". The guy's about my height, but he looks like he's built like Lil Nas X, kind of slim, but tall, dark-skinned guy, right? He has no shirt on, no pants on, but he's wearing a diaper. Yes, full-grown man wearing a diaper. He might have a passy or something like that in his mouth. He identifies as a baby. Now, I don't know if this little stunt they did was for attention, for clout, as the cool kids say, trying to go viral. I don't know. You can find it on Twitter. It's on my Twitter page. I can't post it here, obviously, because we're on YouTube. We got little babies watching. But anyway, so they're sitting together on a train. He starts to try and whine. Bottle, milk. He gets on her lap, legs on the, I'm talking about like a little baby, but this man's a full-grown basketball player with a diaper on, right? No shirt or nothing on the train. Gets on the train, cuddles up on her. She exposes herself. He's trying to breastfeed. But hey, didn't we see this man? Didn't we see this man trying to breastfeed a baby? For real? So when you see stuff like that, it's like, okay, is this where we're going? He identifies as a baby. How can anybody say that he's wrong? If you can identify as whatever you want to identify as, I saw a person on TikTok identify as Ram, and it's fine. So why can't he identify as a baby and breastfeed right there on the train? Now, of course, somebody got offended. And like I said, it could have been staged. I don't know. But, you know, it's about to be like a little fight between these girls somewhere, Brooklyn, Bronx. I don't know where they were. What happened? Mind your business. Sit down, mind your business. It was nuts. Now, I said that to say this. This whole what do you identify as thing is going to turn a lot of people who are already kind of nuts just totally ridiculous. They need to bring back the insane asylums. And if a guy does something like that, identifies as a baby on a train, and this girl gets naked basically to breastfeed him, they need to get locked up for doing that. Indecent exposure. But you know what the funny thing is? I think it's not illegal in New York to do something like that, to expose female chest area. Is it illegal in New York? I'm not really sure. But that type of stuff is going to happen when you will allow it to go on, when you encourage it to go on to get attention or whatever. It's going to happen. So yeah, this whole what do you identify as? I hope that we stop playing along with it because it's not real. What do you identify as? Boy or girl? That's it. Male or female? If you're confused, well, figure it out and then come holler at me and give me your final answer. And it's only one of two choices. That's it. That's all you got. Period. Matter of fact, how about a birth certificate that says what you are? The doctor can identify you right there. You got certain parts if you boy or girl. Have that be that. On mine, have my little footprint on it and my sex and gender right there, male. That's it. Anthony Logan, male, Charleston, West Virginia. Very simple. We're making simple things complicated for no reason, but I'll move right along. All right. Thank y'all again for being here. Definitely appreciate y'all. If you enjoyed the content tonight, if you enjoyed the show, give the video a thumbs up if you've not done so already. Also, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so right now. If you're listening on your favorite audio streaming platform, whether it be Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, Apple iTunes, etc., give me a 5-star rating, give me a review, subscribe to wherever you are, and I thank you for doing that in advance. And shout out to my sponsors. Shout out to myself, of course, AnthonyBLogan.com for all your latest updates and news from me. Shout out to ABLmerch.com for all the hats, t-shirts, stickers, hoodies, and more. Shout out to PatriotPost.us, your best source for news, information, content, all that good stuff, including my stuff on PatriotPost.us. BCDesigns.com for the flags that are behind me or one of your own. And also Mr1920.com, Mr1920.com, that is. And all these links will be in the description box below. I got super chats to read right quick and then I'm out. Wrap it up, put the bow on the top. Again, thank y'all for joining. I couldn't do it without you. And let's go to where it's supposed to be. We can go ahead and do that way. All right, let's go to where I'm at. And let's see. Thank you to Handmade, who says, asking vac status. How about don't ask, don't tell? There you go. Hey, ABL, live in Canal City. Oh, okay, Canal City. Yeah, I know about Canal City. I love what you know about West Virginia. We're all big fans of yours. Keep up here. Keep up the awesome work. Hey, thank you for that. I appreciate you. Yeah, shout out to Canal City. Oh, yeah. Love it up there. Thank you to Clemum, who says, Kamala Beto O'Rourke 2024. You rock ABL. Man, that's going to be one of the worst tickets ever, ain't it? Good grief. Thank you for your super chat and your comment. Thank you to Richard Nixon, who says, so much we all need to get vaccinated and calling us anti-vax. What happened to free will? Exactly. Why can't I do what I want to do because I want to do it or I don't want to do it? Thank you to WJ Valente, who says, actor and comedian Michael Rappaport took the jab and now he looks 20 years older. Check out the before and after pics on YouTube. Well, he always looks, he's an old looking guy anyway. He might have a makeup in some of these pictures because he's on TV a lot. Without that makeup, you're looking like you smoke crack for a living. But anyway, thank you for the super chat. But he did say that he's like, he took it and now he regrets, not necessarily regretting it, but he's like, why am I now being seen as a super spreader? Because before, when he had taken the vaccine, he was like, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And now he's like, well, they're telling me I'm spreading it. So what's going on? Hey, we tried to tell you, but you ain't listen. Rap report. We tried to tell you, you didn't listen. Thank you to Richard Nixon, who says, I saw an Instagram news post discussing lockdowns. The comment section was full of people happy to go back. A lot said they're ready to stay home for checks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Blue states, they be with it because they already conditioned their people to be at home and do nothing. And quite frankly, a lot of people, even in red states, are doing it. But the problem with the lockdowns in red states is that a lot of people had negative side effects. People weren't used to just standing in the house and doing nothing. They wanted to be able to get out there and enjoy life. But in blue states, they're kind of already used to being in the penitentiary. You go to LA County, it's penitentiary living already. People in red states are more free than people in blue states. Let me see. Thank you to Lee, who says, always tell the truth, ABL. Don't make Ivan call in to debunk you. Also, the lady that called in looking for statistics can go to Del Bitchery's website, ican.org. The receipts are there. Thank you to Burt vs. Windshield, who says, have you seen the movie V vs. Vendetta? I've not seen that, but I've heard a lot about it. You may have mentioned it already, but do you think, I'm tripping. He says, it's about a post-virus society that was created to control the people. 2006 release date. Well, is it art imitating life or life imitating art? I can't tell. Thank you to Myth Informed Milwaukee. Hey, you have a great Twitter channel, sir. I read you every day. Great content. Myth Informed MKE, Milwaukee, right? Shout out to you, man. Thank you for doing what you do. Myth Informed Milwaukee says, late to the stream, ABL. You may have mentioned it already, but do you think Logan Paul will talk to Candace? I think that Logan Paul may talk to Candace because during that little exchange, he was kind of softening up to the idea. However, if his handlers have anything to say, he's not going to do it because that one twerpy frat bro looking dude was like, well, don't do it. Why even engage? If somebody says the ocean full of milk, would you go and debate that? He was trying to say that her talking points were complete nonsense and don't deserve a debate. But he may do it. He may get told to not do it because if he does, now he's entering the political space, and that might not be where he wants to go. He may want to stay doing these sham fights for millions of dollars. If I was him, that'd be what I would do because he's not really a political guy. He should just keep his mouth shut when it comes to political issues. So when anything black happen or whatever, just be quiet. Don't say a word because now you got to enter that ring of the political debate, and that might not be your wheelhouse. You might be trained enough to fight in the exhibition, but not in the political situation. Thank you to Sarah Gould, who says Democrats are trying to flip our views to Democrats. Democrats are trying to flip our view to see that Democrats pro-police. Yeah, Democrats are never pro-police. They have not been throughout the entire time. They've been the main ones out there talking about pigs in the blanket, fry 'em like bacon. Thank you to Tyrannians, who says facts this is absolute truth. Thank you to Ron Henderson, who says since the truth will set you free, that's why they won't release the truth all day. Joe Ryder 84 says, all joking aside, do you think Joe Biden has dementia? I think he does, or something like that. Now, I can't diagnose this, man. I'm no doctor, but something's wrong. It looks like dementia to me. If it's not, then I can't tell. But something ain't right. He's not the same as he was in years past. That's just a fact. Both versus Windshield says the media and Democrats have increased racism in America by 1,000%. They fail at every program and can only get votes through fear and hate. Fear, hate, and ignorance. If you keep the populace ignorant, they don't know why they're voting Democrat. If you ask people out there who voted Democrat, who's you vote for? Speaker of the House, who's that? Who is their own senator? Do they know that? Do they know their own governor? Do they know anything about politics except for Democrats not racist, Republicans racist? That's all they know. People are ignorant, and ignorance is a breeding ground for bad decision making. Gerardo 84 says, ABL, I think and know that the white liberal is the real racist. 100%. Thank you to Dave McKinnon, who says, do you do any hunting or fishing? I actually own a fair trade fly tying company that helps keep women out of sex trafficking. I think you called in earlier from Honduras. I've not gone hunting before. I have gone fishing. I like fishing. Fishing is cool, but I'm not really a fisher. But I have gone fishing. It's cool. I like to go hunting as well, but I've not done so yet. Richard Nixon says, what's next for our foundation? I'm particularly excited about what the next year could mean for one of the best buys in global health, vaccines. Bill Gates, Twitter, December 2019. Both versus Windshield says the real insurrection started November 2020. They are now planning to make sure people have their traveling papers. Sounds like Hitlery to me. Yes. Joe Ryder 84 says, ABL, what is your input of the LGBTQ part of the anti-racism? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by this question, but I think I understand. I'll answer what I think. LGBT, I made a good comparison, I think, on Twitter, and I think it applies here. Just follow me. China is to Tibet as LGBT is to woke black women. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, okay, so China has pretty much annexed Tibet. Tibet is a sovereign country, or at least it was. A lot of them don't speak Mandarin. They're their own people in Tibet. It's not China, it's Tibet. They've annexed Tibet, and it's like nobody even really sees it. They think it's all China. It's not. Just like Dagestan is actually, what's that called? What they call that? Xinjiang or whatever. That's called East Dagestan. Is it not Dagestan? It's called East Turkestan. Where they got the Uyghurs, that's called East Turkestan. That's not China. They're not Chinese. They look Chinese, but they're not Chinese. It's like if you go to Kyrgyzstan, they're not Chinese. They look Chinese, but they're not Chinese. In parts of Russia, they look Chinese, but they're not Chinese. Mongolia, same thing. Mongolia, Siberia, East Turkestan, Tibet, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Macau, these are not China, but China has annexed them. And LGBT have annexed black women. A prime example is the Real Housewives of Atlanta and the Potomac. Okay, you have these shows showing a lot of these successful black women, but and who is the guy that runs the show? Andy Cohen. What's the network? Bravo. He's gay network. You see kind of what I'm doing? Lil Nas X has his own issues going on. And on the front lines, you have woke black women, people of color, defending them not because he's black, because he's LGBT. They put LGBT in the same category as civil rights and stuff, things of that nature. So in many ways, LGBT have taken on the race cause as a shield to do whatever they want to do in the back, in the background. Sorry, pardon me for that weird pun. Thank you to Cole Haterade, who says, glad it's pushing for more representation in entertainment to include people living with HIV and AIDS, promotes genocide. Correct. Your man, what's his name? Billy Porter has HIV. Did you know that? Oh yeah. That had become more of a thing that's like, it's just whatever. It's like, it's okay. Magic started it, but that's a different story, and I digress. Thank you to Decepticons and Cobra for your donation. Thank you to Ryan Henderson for your donation. Thank you to Will RC for the direct emoji donation. Thank you to everybody who chimed in. I got a few more, and then I got to go. Let me see. Shout out to, if I tell your name up, it's not my fault. Blame the white man. Blaze Matine, who says illegals are being flown in and out of our military bases. Hold on. They can be tracked on flight tracking websites. Thank you to Alice Cersei, who said, thanks for a good show. Thank you for that. Thank you to Handmade. Oh, I already asked that one. And yeah, Alice Cersei says, thanks for a good show. Great show. That'll be a wrap for me tonight. Thank y'all for being here. Couldn't have done it without you. I'll be back live on Wednesday, but I'll be back regularly on Monday doing my content everywhere. Follow me right here on the YouTubes. Just subscribe, Follow, do all that stuff right here on YouTube's. And I'm also on Instagram at Anthony B. Logan, Twitter at Anthony B. Logan, and Facebook, just search Anthony Brian Logan. I'll pop right on up. I think my tag is Anthony Brian. I don't know. They keep changing stuff. I think it's Anthony Brian Logan all the way out, and or 1776.Logan. Facebook.com/1776.Logan. All right, that'll be a wrap. So, hey, shout out to the mods for doing what you do, keeping the trolls in check, keeping everybody in order. I appreciate that. You guys know who you are. But until next time, y'all be safe. I'm out. Hold on, I messed it up. Until next time, y'all be safe. I'm out. And peace.